Hoffman Show on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980 as well. Coming in with isn't that Ashley Simpson's song?
I don't know
who's the original artist on that.
That's a great question.
And it's kind of a go-go version of it?
It is the go-go version. This is Rare Essence, Pieces of Me. It's a classic.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, you want to know what? Now I probably just embarrassed myself. You want to know what? That was probably their song first.
Oh.
It became very popular during my childhood because I'm pretty sure Ashley Simpson, Jessica Simpson's younger sister, did it. You know what? That's just going to be an L for me. Hopefully the show's going to get better from here. That's a good, great, fantastic, phenomenal start. But you want to know what? I started my round of 9-hole golf this morning with a double bogey, and we finished with a par. So we're just going to get better.
Trending upward.
That's how we're going. That is super producer Anthony Haney. I am, of course, Craig Hoffman. This is our show, and we're going to get you ready for Eagles and Commanders today. We always start our Friday show by asking what's at stake. And Anthony, I think the answer this week is actually easier than it has been for a while, because this week, what's at stake is respectability. What's at stake this week is the Commanders bouncing back from their just tremendously lopsided, in terms of the scoreboard, loss to the Bills. And can they compete? Like, they were in it for a while last week, but they never, I think this is an important clarification, perhaps one that we should have made way earlier in the week. They were in it, but never had a chance to win. They never showed the offensive punch that said, we're actually going to win this game. It's just, we're going to keep it close so that it's not so embarrassing by the end. Turns out, you get a couple of extra turnovers, and your defense loses its will to live, if you will, and you give a pick six, too, and it winds up being pretty embarrassing in terms of the scoreboard by the end. I think this is a chance for the Washington Commanders to come out and say, that's not who we are. We might not be as good as the Eagles, but we're not that far away. And on any given Sunday, we can compete with teams like that. We do not get blown out just because a great team is lining up across from us. And that's really important for Ron Rivera. I think it's important for Eric Bieniemy. It's important for Sam Howell and his confidence. I think it's important to the rest of the team to think that, we can go out there with this kid at quarterback, and we are not dead on arrival unless we're facing one of the worst teams in football, which would be either the Cardinals, who just are in year one of their rebuild, or a Denver Broncos team that you felt good about putting 35 on until the Dolphins hung 70 on them just a week later. That's where I think we're at.
I mean, I think you're right on cue, to be honest. Again, going out there losing 37-3, no team wants that. But at the same token, we understand that there's a tall task ahead of us. And I don't think a lot of people are giving us a chance to win. And even if we aren't giving them a chance to win, at least go out there and prove and, hang in there and, show some type of fight as opposed to, the brutal beatdown that we got a week ago. So I think this week is all about, just getting some respect and, just playing together, being on a united front. And I think sort of kind of that's where, everybody was this week in their press conferences anyway. Just, not once, put blame anywhere, just saying we all have to be better. And that starts Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think it's chance for redemption on some level for the Commanders' defense as well. Obviously the offense is going to be a pretty big talking point considering they were the side that struggled the most. But it is a chance for this Commanders D-line to – and, D-lines don't play each other in the same way that quarterbacks don't play each other. It is – last week, it makes for a fun poster of Sam Howell versus Josh Allen. But it's not really. It's Josh Allen versus the Commanders defense and Sam Howell versus the Bills defense. And by the same token, this week, it is Sam Howell versus the Eagles defense and Sean Desai and what he puts out there as a coordinator and Jalen Carter and the monster rookie season he's having so far and all them dudes. And it's Sam and his offense. And then on the other side, it's Jalen Hurts and what they've got, maybe the best O-line in football versus the Commanders defense that is supposedly really good. And I think both in that the Eagles offense is obviously Super Bowl caliber because that's what they did last year. This O-line isn't supposedly the best in football. Like, it's a chance for the Commanders' D-line to show up against them, but it's also a chance to be like, no, we're as elite as those guys. You know, Deron Payne, John Allen, like, no, Jalen Carter, kid, you've been here for 5 minutes. We've been here for years. Like, we're going to show you something. Obviously, best young pass rusher in the division title. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Micah Parsons. He doesn't even feel like he's eligible anymore because he's so good already. But, like, Chase Young, what you got, man? Because I do think that there is some credence to what Brian Baldinger said with this yesterday of, there are some plays where he's jogging behind it, and there's an effort question. I don't think it's quite as big of an issue as Brian does, but I do think it's something that it's real easy on tape to circle and be like, hey, we could do better here. I think more importantly, the rush lane discipline and kind of the maturity as a football player, if you don't do that against Jalen Hurts, you're going to die. It's not even going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's going to be death by bomb. Like, he's going to get 30 yards because you lost contain. You can't do that. And so I think it's just, like, it's a great challenge. Unfortunately, that means you're probably going to lose based off of the talent gap. If these two teams play 100 times, the Eagles are winning 60, 65, 70 of them, maybe. They're better. That's where they are at their point in their maturation and part of their franchise building. Is that a little bit silly considering Nick Sirianni's been there less time than Ron Rivera? Yeah. But there's no Jason Kelce here. There's no Lane Johnson here. Two future Hall of Famers on your O-line. Now, there's something to be said about the fact that there was one at left tackle, and Ron Rivera sent him to San Francisco for what, a third-round pick? Whoopsie daisies. But generally speaking, like where these two teams are right now, Philly's clearly better and ahead. But this is the beauty of the NFL. Any given Sunday, you've heard that phrase before, it is that way for a reason, that absolutely this Sunday can be one of those other 30 Sundays, even if you give the Eagles 70-30, that you can beat them. But it's going to take your best, and I think coming off of a game where you played one of your worst, certainly offensively, your quarterback played one of his worst that he's ever going to play in his career. Like, this is a great, fantastic opportunity to prove that that's not who you are.
Yeah, and I think this is also, one of those opportunities where we consider it a big game, and there have been times it's not prime time, and that's more so what I want to stress. I feel like in those prime time, those big games, against the Steelers or the Bucks, or last year when we played the Eagles on Monday Night Football, will we rise to the occasion? And I think this is one of those games, Craig. I think I know it's not prime time, but I'm putting in that bucket of games where this is a big game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing is, like, on the Washington side of it, it is. On the Eagles side, like, is it? Like, they're not.
I mean, them, of course, they not think anything of us. But
not that they're like, oh, it's easy week. I mean, Jason Kelce was talking on New Heights this week. And actually, I think it was even last week that he was like, yeah, man, this division sucks. I got 6 games against the best fronts in football. Like, dealing with Washington, dealing with Dallas, dealing with New York. Like, could you imagine, like, your off week, if you're Jason Kelce as an interior guy, your off week in the division is facing what they got in Dallas, like a first rounder and the chance that Micah Parsons might decide to line up over center.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, other than that, it's Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams or John Allen and Deron Payne.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That sucks.
That's brutal.
Don't like that if I'm Jason Kelce.
The highest paid defensive lineman in the league, all in one division. Sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's the challenge this week. Can you bounce back? Can you limit the turnovers? Can you do all the stuff that you need to do to stay in the game, be competitive, and then, do you have that chance at the end? I know Kevin predicted that the Commanders are going to have a chance to go down and win it at the end. He doesn't think they're going to do it based off the score prediction he gave on his show when I was on with him earlier, and the situation that he laid out. Very, very specific. So we'll see if Kevin's got some kind of clairvoyance on Sunday. As for our keys to the game, that's what's at stake. Respectability. That's the big word for us today. Respectability at stake on Sunday. How do they achieve it? We got to dive deeper into the details before we go, well, as deep as you're going to get in terms of a breakdown. Take command at 4:30. Matt Paris at 5 here on The Hoffman Show.
What about Sam? Rough day, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a rough day at the office. The question is, when we start signing. blame or, fault, whatever you want to call it. Like how much of it is on him. And I think the other thing that I'm saying this for the second straight week, like we need to go back and look at the tape and understand is, are there options down the field available?
Yeah.
Because when you are sitting in the pocket that long, I feel like there has got to be an element that you just feel like there's no one open. I know for a fact on one, there was one of the sacks that I saw that I was able to have a pretty good view of the field and receivers, and so at least one, there ain't nobody open.
Yeah.
There's some, Wiley gets beat on a speed rush on one. It's pretty obvious, like that's on Andrew Wiley. But then there's 7 more sacks to account for Logan, and those are kind of the defining parts of his day outside the interceptions, some of which kind of go together, though, because obviously they're not sacks on plays that are picks, but there are pressures on a lot of them.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, like, this offense is kind of built on a specific game flow. And even though they throw the ball a lot, they do kind of walk this line of being able to say, we can get to a screen, we can get to a draw, we can get to a run, and kind of quiet the pass rush a little bit, or get to a quick game even. So, and I just felt like they got in a position where it felt a little bit rushed, felt a little bit frantic, and everything was looking for a chunk play, or at least that's what it felt like watching. And again, when we watch the film, we'll probably feel differently and be able to give different analysis on it. But I think there were times, like the first interception Sam threw, I thought he is hunting for this big play. And,
it's 3rd and 19, understandable to an extent.
And, we might be assigning this kind of frenetic feeling to EB when it's the quarterback who feels like he's competing with Josh Allen, and like there's a check down right in his line of view. Just check the ball down, man. Like, it's not a perfect situation, but you have an opportunity to get a field goal. It would have been 3-10 at that point, or 3-3. I don't remember the exact score. But I think about moments like that, and I say, you don't need to do that. Or the thing he said in his press conference, and I love that he owned this. He was like, on the interception in the flat, he doesn't hear the protection call, and that's what happens with a young quarterback.
Yeah, so they called the protection wrong. There's a free runner that, like, they knew there was going to be a free runner. The guy who was free was not the guy who was expecting, and instead of throwing it in the dirt.
Like, the way I understood is they made like a different call at the line of scrimmage that he didn't hear or something. Yeah, there was a communication issue, and he owned that too. Yeah. But I think like those are the types of things you experience with young quarterbacks, and I mentioned this with you mentioned the post-game show. He's still a young player, and he's going to miss those calls. Like, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they don't miss those calls, but they've also been doing it for 1,000 years. So it makes it easier to make sure you're owned in on those details.
Good time to remind folks that the all-time, I think this is still true, but it was forever. The all-time leader in interceptions in someone's rookie season was a guy named Peyton Manning, who turned out quite all right. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Anthony, I feel vindicated because we looked up Pieces of Me, and the Ashley Simpson version was the original, and then Rare Essence remade it.
There it is. Okay.
So I don't have to feel shame and embarrassment for not knowing that was originally a go-go song, because it wasn't originally a go-go song.
You're right. But without Ashley Simpson, Rare Essence could have made that a classic.
Yeah. So here's the other thing, though, that kind of really bummed me out about looking that up. I traded the shame of thinking that I didn't have that knowledge for realizing how old I am.
Oh, wow.
How old we all are. Because if you had asked me when that came out, I would have been like, I don't know, like 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. It's 2004.
And you were in...
I would have been early high school.
Early high school. Good gracious.
Maybe it was, I think it said it was like March, so late middle school, like 8th grade.
Okay, I was in elementary school.
I was 14. Because I'm easy. I'm a 1990s baby.
Oh,
like 1990
baby. Yeah, that's actually tough.
So it's really easy. Just whatever year it was, 2000 whatever, add 10, that's how old I was.
Okay, let's move.
Which is very beneficial for me because I stink at math.
Yeah.
I'm at the age now at 33 where I just forget how old. How old are you? How old am I? 33. I'm assuming that gets worse.
I hope it doesn't.
I'm also at an age where, like, people that are your age and younger are like, yeah, you're getting old. And people that are, like, in their 40s and 50s are like, you're still a baby.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh,
I'm not
what
there
am
yet.
What am
Actually, I sort of kind of am there. I do say, like, people that are 24, 25, like, yeah, I'm only 2 years older than them, though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that does happen for sure is the older you get, the younger you realize you were when you were whatever age you're thinking of. Like, I'm sure when I get in my 50s, like, I was only in my 30s. I was a baby. It's like, no, I was a fully formed adult. I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Know what I'm doing. All right, let's talk some more football. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. So, when you think of your keys to the game, Anthony, I feel like I've done 78 keys to the game segments. I was on Machine. We do our keys to the game with Derek Forrest on DC News Now. I tape that on Fridays. I think you guys can see it Saturday night on DC News Now. We did a podcast. What's your keys to the game? And then I'll reiterate mine / touch on yours.
My number one key is definitely going to be for the offense, and it's going to be for the offense to start fast. I don't think we've started fast at all. We've been the comeback kids for the most part. Well, the first 2 games we were the comeback kid. I need to just, erase game 3. Based off the first 2 games, and even last game, we did not start fast offensively. So I'm thinking, be able to, mix in the run, because I think we come out pass happy too much. So I think in order for us to get off to a better start to this game against the Eagles, we're going to have to start off running the ball a little bit just to, be able to set up everything else. And, Philadelphia's defensive front is very stout, and it's tough to run against, but we're going to have to find some type of way because we cannot just drop back every time.
So,
yeah.
I struggle with this because I definitely think they need to run the ball more and find opportunities to. But Philly's secondary is banged up, and their D-line's great.
Uh-oh.
And you do not want to bang your head against a wall and just be like, we're going to run it, because we got to run it. And you go 3 and out because you gained 4 yards on 3 carries, and then Brian Robinson's like, hey, man, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that. That said, this team, which there is some staff holdover, and obviously EB has the tape, they did find a way to run it on the Eagles last year. Like, they came out and as Brian Baldinger told us yesterday when he was on the show, he's like, the Commanders ran on the Eagles so badly, they went out and signed Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh.
Oh, yeah.
Then that was without Jordan Davis, who was hurt at the time, and without Jalen Carter, who is playing outrageously good football.
Yeah.
Basically what they do is in passing situations, Jalen Carter is on the field with Fletcher Cox, and when it's a running situation, Jordan Davis is on the field with Fletcher Cox, and those 2 young guys from Georgia are splitting the reps opposite the old vet in Fletcher.
Mm.
So, I mean, ideally, you can get them in a situation where they're not comfortable. Like, you're going to have a little bit more time to throw if Jordan Davis is in the game and you drop back to pass versus if Jalen Carter's in the game, but it's not like Carter's easy to run on or Davis can't pass rush. So there's like limits to how much you want to really focus any kind of game plan on the personnel, not to mention it's really hard. I mean, defense gets to sub last, so they put something out there. Are you going to wait to, let's see who's in the game to send a play in? Of course not. You're just going to try to base it off situations and see if you can use that to your advantage on some level.
Mm.
I think additionally, there are other ways to attack the areas of the field you need to attack while not just handing the ball off. So can you, I would try to get Jahan Dotson a screen somewhere in the first half of this game.
Okay.
I'm trying to get him the ball because I want to get him going. I want him to feel the game. I want him to feel involved. And by the way, he's also very dangerous, and there's a chance that screen could go somewhere. I do the same for AG. I'm trying to get him involved in the game and feeling confident, feeling good. But I do think that if you can, to me, actually, the biggest key in this game, both sides, is down and distance management. You cannot get in obvious passing situations where the Eagles can pin their ears back and come after Sam Howell because Sam's going to take sacks. That is who he is at this point in his career, unless he's magically fixed everything in 1 week from Buffalo to Philly. On the other side of the ball, down and distance management means staying out of third and short, because if you're in third and short, they're going to do the tush push and you're going to give up a first down. Or if you happen to be in the 8% of times that teams stop it and it's third and short, they're going to run it again and you're going to lose on fourth down.
Yep.
So there's just no real winning if you let them get in third and short. So you've got to be really aggressive in trying to, be on top of the short passing game, trust your coverage over the top. And obviously, I think you basically sell out to stop the run. Like, I think there should be 2 linebackers on the field more in this game. And if they had base defense anymore, I'd play some of that too. Like, I try to get David Mayo in the game some. I know that sounds crazy, but he's awesome against the run. Like, I would try to mix it up and really sell out to stop the run. And if Jalen Hurts beats me with his arm, he beats me with his arm. But I got to pick something, and that's the way I'm willing to take my risk.
That's fascinating, man. That's fascinating. But also to, go along with starting fast, I think a lot of eyes are going to be on EB and, if he can, help Sam out. I think a lot of people have mentioned, rolling pockets or, some just to, help Sam get away from the pressure that is of this, Philly defensive line. So being able to, for EB to help out Sam, but also get Terry and Jahan some targets. You mentioned, a quick screen, something of that magnitude. But I just think, Terry and Jahan, they just need targets. It makes no sense that they both have only 16 targets on the season through 3 games. That is ridiculous, especially when we look around the rest of the NFL and see what, other guys are getting. You can know that the ball is going to Terry. You can know that. Just like, everybody know the ball is going to Jefferson. But you just got to find ways to, just scheme them open, just get them a touch. That's
right. And that's the thing is like, okay, cool. The ball is going to Terry, but it's going to Terry, right? It's going to Jahan. It's worth it. And those guys can get open. I think it definitely, like some of that though is the rapport, I guess is the best way I can think of it. The familiarity, but the rapport between a Jefferson and a Cousins, right? And I realized that last year was the first year in that offense for those two together, but they've been together for a couple of years now. Herbert and Keenan Allen, they had 20 targets last week, but they've been together for a while. And one of the things where Sam still has to improve on some level dramatically is throwing with anticipation. It's that trust that the receiver is going to be where I think he's supposed to be, or where he is supposed to be when I throw it. And he's not quite uncovered yet when I throw it, that he's going to make the break, that he's going to get to his landmark. And that's been an issue at times this year. It's a little different than practice. It's one thing to do it in preseason or in training camp, but they have not had that many game reps together. And, that starts with like lining up in the right spot. If you're 2 yards too wide, you're not going to get to your spot on time. And so I think that, I asked Sam about trust after that Buffalo game. And he's like, I trust that we put in so much work and I'm not going to let one bad game throw that away. But I wasn't really, not that I expected him to answer differently. And I loved his answer, to be clear, but to explain more where the question came from and where I don't even know if he fully comprehends this yet. It's not about like an emotional trust. It's not like, hey, I could tell you something and tell you not to tell anyone and my secret's safe with you. That's not the kind of trust we're talking about. It's if we run this play with blindfolds on and like we're lined up, we go, all right, everybody ready? Put your blindfold down. So you're in the right spot. You're going to run to your landmark and Sam's going to execute his footwork. He's going to go set hut and then he's going to throw the ball exactly where it's supposed to be. Like, would you catch it? Or even if, I guess it's probably hard to catch it blind, but, so if we give the receiver no blindfold, but Sam's blindfolded and he's got to throw to a spot, will you be there? Because that's kind of what playing quarterback in the NFL is sometimes. Yeah. You throw to the spot, you hope that it works out, and that's how it goes. For more insight on the other side of the ball, though, what can the Commanders' defense do to slow down Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense? Let's hit a Take Command Friday. Logan Paulson joins to preview the game next. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and always live on the free Odyssey app.
You can take...
warn you, bro. It is
You
a
did.
mess in downtown Nashville every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Not even.
We moved hotels the next night. I still am waiting on my refund for that. But yeah, we moved hotels the second night.
Wow.
It was fun. You say they rely on them. We went to brunch with my buddy the next day, who is a Nashville native and has lived in Nashville long enough that he remembers when it was more than just the bachelorette capital of the world. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much on the woo girl economy.
Yeah, that's precisely what's going on. The downtown businesses cater to that. If you try to get it shut down, you're probably the one getting thrown out. It is what it is right now. It's weird, but Nashville, baby. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I will add one more small part to this story, and this is the part, frankly, that I've been waiting to tell you all week as well. That was kind of part one. We got quality Yates reaction. Part two, as we leave the hotel the next morning to go to breakfast. Remember, the wall's very thin. So it's not going where you think it's going. But as we walk down the hallway, my dear sweet wife just starts saying in a slightly elevated volume of voice, you know, it's been proven that the later groups stay out and make noise and all this stuff at their bachelorette weekend, the higher the divorce rate
Oh God.
in the wedding,
So
and
she's
also
talking
the better
trash,
chances,
basically.
and also the better chances.
Wow. Okay. Okie dokie. So Rachel was pissed, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the woo girls. They say on the internet, like, feel free to post stuff, you know, like your friends' photos, do whatever. But like whatever you do for your own well-being, don't read the comments. Comment section, bad idea. What do we do?
We read those comments, baby.
That is exactly what we do. That was a little bit better. I still feel like that one was a little muted. I think sometimes it feels like you build yourself up a little too much, and then sometimes you don't
I ain't
quite
want to
go
go
for it.
screaming all the way. The thing is, though, my mic is a little lower than yours, so maybe I could have actually, did what I really.
Mike
set
also
out to
moves. You can go, ooh. Did you know you could play tricks with a microphone?
do. I think I'll try that next time.
Okay. You want to give it another shot? Or you
We read those comments, baby.
There we go. All right. I feel ready now. Take Command podcast from Odyssey Sports. Logan Paulson there. Craig Hoffman here, getting you ready for the Commanders matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. Something we will do for 3 hours from Tap Sports Bar at MGM National Harbor this Sunday. Come hang out with us. Doors open at 11. Show starts at 10. So if you want to hang out online, easy to do. On YouTube at the Team 980 and at 1067 The Fan, of course. On the radio on both stations for the Take Command pregame show. And then doors open at 11 at Tap Sports Bar if you want to come hang out and say what's up in person. All right, Logan, that leaves us with the Philly offense versus the Commanders defense. Watching Jalen Hurts this morning, I'm reminded of, kind of what makes him special, the mobility. And then the thing I think is underrated with him is the accuracy. Now, decision-making is something that we'll obviously get to, and he'll put some balls up in areas where defenses can get him. But I think when you have the combination of what he can do in the run game and the fact that when he does throw it, the ball's going to be where it's supposed to be most of the time is what makes him so dangerous. Then the question is he making the right decision? And by example, like the interception he throws in the end zone in the Tampa game, that ball's perfectly placed, except for the one single problem that a defender has a chance to get it. But the ball will give his guys a chance, and his guys are real good. And I think those two things come together in a major way in their passing game. And then, oh, by the way, DeAndre Swift is having one hell of a season so far.
Yeah, to me, I think everything about this Philly team starts with the offensive line.
For sure.
Everything about this group. Obviously Lane Johnson, they've got a new guy starting at right guard. He was a center traditionally, but Kelsey's a center.
Cam Jurgens, who had some mega blocks last week.
He did a great job. And then is Dickerson, is that the guy's name? The left guard, is he playing? Is he healthy?
Yeah, he's got no injury designation, so he should be out there. And then obviously big Jordan Mailata at left tackle.
And those guys are awesome, man. Really awesome. Like, they work together super well. Talk about understanding angles and how to work combinations. And Swift, I think, has the highest yards before contact of any back in the NFL, which is an insane statistic. It's like probably 4 or 5. It's a very high number. So that means before the defense even touches him, he's got a 4-yard gain. But anyway, so that's the group to me. And I think when you look at Jalen Hurts and what he's doing, he's holding the ball forever. Like, all the stuff that you're talking about with Sam Howell, holding the ball, how well is he seeing certain stuff, that all applies to Jalen Hurts here. And it's a new offense, new offensive concepts. You can tell guys are still trying to figure out exactly what they're doing in certain situations. But he's holding the ball a long time. The reason we're not talking about it in the same vein as Sam Howell is because the offensive line is the best in football, quite frankly. So I personally think if in this game, I want Jalen Hurts to have the ball in his hands as much as possible. I just think he's not playing that well right now. And the more I watch him, the more I believe that. The more he just looks unsettled versus pressure. He's escaping clean pockets. They have stuff picked up. He's trying to vacate. He's not anticipating throws very well. He threw one of the worst interceptions I've seen this year against Minnesota. Just doesn't see the hook player at all. And so, if I'm Jack, if I'm Ron, if I'm this staff, I'm basically saying, what I want to do everything we can to stop the run, and then I want to say Juice to match up with AB and AJ Brown, and then I want Fuller or whoever to match up with
Devontae
Smith. And we're gonna really just commit to stopping the run and make sure he's got tight throwing windows and say, you are going to have to beat us. Because right this second, now in 5 weeks, I'll probably feel differently about this, but right this second, I personally don't believe Jalen Hurts can beat you with his arm right now. Now, the offense is more complicated than that. They run a lot of zone read. He scrambles quite a bit. He does a lot of off-schedule stuff. But right now, I want him with the football in his hands, and I want Swift to have 20 carries for 40 yards, and that means that their offense isn't being super effective.
Yeah, good luck with that. With the 20 carries for 40 yards deal. Right now, to the left side of their offensive line, these numbers from PFF, as a team, they are averaging 8.8 a carry when they run off of left guard. So, like, if they're running between left guard, left tackle situation, they are 8.8 a carry. And that's not small sample size, by the way. That is where they have targeted more runs this season than any other spot. There's 22 attempts there as a team, 11 of them by DeAndre Swift. He's averaging 11-1 a carry off that left side. So that is where they're going to go. And by the way, they've then got 17 more carries, which is tied for the second most attempts in terms of spatially across the line off the left end. So that is where they're going to go, which means it is a big day for John Allen and it's a big day for Chase Young. If you're Jack, Chase is, we can talk about Chase and his discipline as a pass rusher and all that kind of stuff. Chase is a really, really good run player. Obviously John is John. How do you support those guys though, and make sure that they've got what they need, and how much do you rotate, put Montez, who's also a fantastic run player over there. Like, what do you do personnel wise to try to limit that, knowing that it's coming?
So first off, I think you need a plan for the zone read. And what is the plan for that? Who's going to support that? Because I want my ends playing fast and physical, like you said. I don't want any indecision. I want to get in single front as much as possible. And I know that's a tough matchup for Ridgeway, but Ridgeway's a big guy, and hopefully he can kind of present a little bit of a problem for Kelsey. I need probably 2 linebackers on the field. I expect to see a lot of Cody Barton. And Jamin Davis, and those guys have been playing really well. They've been playing good football. They're fast. I need them to fit runs correctly and be decisive to the football, because that's the other thing with John. I love John. Doesn't take on double teams exceptionally well. You need to get downhill to peel that as quick as possible so he can win his one-on-one matchup and make a play for you. Cam's probably going to be in the box a little bit more, kind of in that overhang position. But it is the key to this game. And I know we say this all the time. the thing, you got to stop the run. You have to. You have to do it. And this team traditionally has done a really good job of that. When they say it's time to stop the run, they do a pretty good job of it. You mentioned Chase Young being excellent against the run. Montez Sweat might be one of the best run defending defensive ends in the NFL. Payne is very disruptive in the back end in terms of, making guys miss at the line of scrimmage and getting tackles for losses. But everybody else after that needs to be exceptional. Jamin's did a good job. I thought he did a good job last week. That needs to continue. Cody need to make sure he's fitting runs correctly. There are still times where I'm like, is this the correct way to fit this? The run support players off of that, Forrest, Cam, Percy, whoever it is, you do a great job tackling. And to get that kind of defensive structure in there, you need to be excellent on the outside. And that's really what we're talking about. And I think this team is built to do that. I think they're capable of doing it. I love the matchup of St. Juste against A.J. Brown. Love that. Want to see that. Want to see a competitive physical matchup. A.J. Brown's going to get his, but I think more oftentimes than not, this team's lifeblood is the run game. So let's cut that off and then see if Jalen Hurts can throw the ball 40 times a game, which, again, based on what I've seen, to me is the best bet to win this football game.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those where it's going to feel very silly next week if Jalen all of a sudden finds the form he had last year, and that happens.
That happened. That was the same thing that happened. When was that? 2020. We talked about that with Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked totally inept for the first 3 games of the year, then comes out versus us and looks like a Hall of Fame player, and just can continue to do that. So I definitely think that, yes, that is entirely possible. But with the information that I have at my disposal, which is these first 3 games, that's what I want to have happen.
Yeah, you're picking your poison, and the run game death is seems certain. Where the Jalen, at least you got a shot.
Right.
From an actual schematic standpoint, their run game, like you talk about the zone read, obviously that's zone.
That's one part of it.
Yeah. What else are they doing? Because I had such like Kedrick Golston came on the show.
Nice.
Last week, and
Big Ked
had such a great answer when talking about the Cinco front and like why it's so effective. And he's basically like, it is impossible to get angles as an offensive line for your double teams. And so obviously that is something that against certain run schemes is way more important than others. So how does that matchup go in terms of like what Philly's doing in their actual run game? Are they running powers and gaps and all these kinds of things? Or are they mostly like a zone team? And how do the different fronts that Washington run or how do the fronts, how does what Washington's trying to do affect that Philly attack stylistically?
So basically the runs that they've been most effective with, at least that I've seen, they've been kind of this outside zone, and there is a little bit of zone read, an element to it, but it's outside zone, tight zone. And what I love about the Cinco front is basically instead of you saying, for example, in a traditional outside zone, let's say the tight end's to the right, you're going to get a 6 technique, which is a guy head up on the tight end. You're going to get a 3 technique, which is a guy head up on the guard, maybe outside shoulder, and you're going to get a backside shade. So in that look, right, the person that is most stressed is the front side guard because they're going to be in a one-on-one reach block with a 3 technique, right? Sometimes people bring the center across, whatever, to get in a combination there. But at the front side of that run, you get a double team with the tackle, okay? And you can get potential help from the center, depending on how you want to call it. Mm-hmm. In a Cinco front, you basically say, center, you can't help the guard no matter what. Tackle, you are in a combination with the tight end, but now we get a single for the center, a single for the guard, and I like our singles. I like Deron Payne versus Cam. What's his name? Cam Jurgens.
Cam Jurgens, yeah.
Cam Jurgens in a one-on-one situation, and I basically, because of that nose guard, have ensured a one-on-one with Deron versus outside zone. So that center has to reach Deron, get to his outside shoulder, get his head outside, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that more often than not. Now, the thing that gets me is like, can Kelsey beat Ridgeway? Yes. But the problem is that backside guard, if you're in a Cinco front, can't just leave John Allen because the backside tackle can't cut him off because you've got 2 3s and a nose. So to Kendrick's point, that's exactly right. Now, there are other runs you can run to kind of help mitigate some of that. We've talked about pin pull, how that's been effective against this group. Duo's okay. But again, when you get that 5-man front, combinations become really hard to come by. Philly has done a good job of finding them by getting into multiple tight end personnels, which they've not done as much this year. Because when you get multiple tight ends or you bring an extra offensive lineman in, you basically get unbalanced and the front has to shift. Now you get more combinations. But so far this year, they haven't done a ton of that. So I really believe that Cinco front, if the linebackers are playing well, should be a good solution here.
Well, that's a big if, because Barton has been very hit or miss. He's playing, he's getting better, but it still hasn't been great by any stretch. And then there's the other factor for their run game, which is you have to be wary of Jalen at all times. And that can change the numbers instantly, because
100%.
they do not just run zone read. Like, they will run quarterback power. They will run quarterback sweep. Like, they will do stuff to get Jalen out in space as a runner without just the, hey, let me read this unblocked defensive end and see if he goes and chases the running back and then run where he left. Your basic simple zone read stuff. They do a lot with him in the run. Or they won't do they won't necessarily give him 10 design carries.
They did this last game, yeah.
But there's a lot of different stuff you have to be ready for, because it's all in the playbook.
Correct. Like against New England, for example, New England does a great job after a turnover. They're in their own territory. It's 3rd and 13, and they run a quarterback power for a first down. Philly does, right? And it's Jalen Hurts just being big and strong, getting downhill. If you watched the Tampa Bay game, I want to say it was either Swift's first or second long run. So the back's offset to the left with the tight end left. So they set the front strength to the left. So the 3 techniques left, the 6 techniques left, and then what's that linebacker's name? Number 54 for Tampa Bay. Anyway, he's on the ball. He's on the line of scrimmage, which is a weird look. It's not a traditional look, but you're doing that because basically you're taking away the zone read by having that player there, because the quarterback has to read the end, but now you've got a guy for the back over there. So great. You've Levante David. Thank you, Will. So you've accounted for that guy. You've accounted for the zone read. The problem is, because the front is shifted to the left, you've got the other linebacker, White, up in the A gap on the other side in a one-on-one with Cam Jurgens. So they're like, okay, we're just going to run it to the right, and Cam Jurgens smokes White, and then it ends up being a huge run. I think it was like a 35-yard gain because of how they had to shift to account for the zone read. And so when I say get in the Cinco front, one of the things Jack has done a really good job of is making sure they account for that zone read element, but it does make you light to the front side of runs and on the cutback if you don't hit it correctly. So that is something that is hugely annoying to prepare for when it comes to the run game, because it really tests all of your rules and all of your different defensive calls versus pressures versus Cinco versus 4 down versus different run calls in that 4 down and in the Cinco. So it's something that they're going to have to rep and prep a ton this week, because it is a huge factor when you're cultivating a rushing defense, because now instead of being 10 on 11 like it normally is when you're playing defense, now it's truly 11 on 11, and you have to make sure that 11th player, the safety, whoever it is accounting for the quarterback. If he's accounting for the quarterback, you're lighting the pass coverage. So it is this really crazy paradigm in terms of being effective in all aspects of this game.
The last thing that I'll just mention real quick on the way out is you also got to be more aware of the run with them in situations where it would be obvious passing. Like, they ran for a first down on a 3rd and 6 the other day. That's the kind of stuff that you got to be aware of. Is like we talked in the Washington offense segment about how this is not a team that should come out it should come out and just try to run the ball 30 times, because that's not who they are as an identity. They don't own it. They don't have the blood, sweat, tears, all that kind of stuff in the way that a team like Atlanta does. You could have said like a team like Philly does. Like, this is who they are offensively. This is what they want to do down in, down out. And if you give them the opportunity, they will take it. So anything, 3rd and 6, even if you give them a lane, they'll go take it. And so I think that's just something, like, another thing to be aware of for this defense situationally that they have to consider. So that's what I got. Anything else that you got on this on that side of the ball?
I mean, one of the things they can do there with Jason Kelce not Travis Kelce, is because of you mentioned Landon Dickerson being a really good football player. They basically use Kelce in certain situations, like on that draw you're describing, as a fullback. You know, they block down.
Yeah.
He's fast enough to get up in space, and he can block linebackers, and that's another very valuable resource to them that needs to be accounted for. So, I think we've kind of hit the main talking points, but
Yeah.
you got to stop the run versus this team, and like you said, it's part of their DNA, it's part of their identity. But yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you.
Jason Kelsey also annoyingly good at podcasts. Drives
I
me
know.
nuts. We're like
They're
these
really
guys,
good at it.
these guys that are like Hall of Fame level players that are just killing the podcast game, or like on the basketball side, like JJ Redick's one of the 10 best shooters in the
awesome.
history of the league. His podcast is so good. It's so
Awesome.
annoying.
Yeah,
I'm just good at the podcasting. I wish I could. I mean, you played in the NFL and you're good at this.
I'm okay
God,
at
they're
it.
annoying. They're annoying.
I think it's because their personality comes out a little bit more, So
William put in the chat, and they have the Taylor Swift thing. Like, we don't know. Like, the entire world is
the next
on this.
the next note is
thanks
the
for
funniest.
the note, William.
I know the
Was
next
it-
thing is that
wasn't aware.
they just started dating. Like, come on, man, we're living under a rock. It's been
Yeah,
in my-
I mean,
it's been
Logan
everywhere.
does often feel like he's living under a rock,
I
but
know.
even he knew that. Come
I
on.
do that, yeah.
Good gracious. All right, that's
Yeah.
our podcast. There's no Taylor Swift stories. We don't cuss as much as they do, but we give you good football insight
That is true.
here on Take Command. Next time we see you, we'll be on the radio. Definitely no cussing there. That's very much against the rules. The FCC will
That's
make us
right.
pay lots of money. But we'll see you on Sunday for the Take Command pregame show live on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. We stream it live on YouTube. And then don't forget, postgame 90 minutes after the final whistle, we will be back on YouTube for our postgame stream. We will see you Sunday on Take Command. Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do 106.7 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do
He's
it.
Very, very smart. They tell us we should not really engage in certain parts of the content process. We should definitely post our content. We should tease our content. Hey, tell the people when things are happening on the show. Put that out there on social media. Then make sure you share the content afterwards. But definitely do not engage with the people who comment on it. It's the deepest, darkest underbelly of the internet. No. Do not read the comments. But every single week, 5:30 on a Wednesday, what do we do, Anthony Haney?
We read
Yep.
those comments, baby.
I'm so glad that you gave us a really good one there, because next week we're gonna have a fancy new intro for this. We just got the big voice guy, old Jim Cutler, to do some stuff for us. And in my head, the fancy intro includes Anthony going, read those comments, and he just gave me the material I needed to work with. He didn't even know that. You didn't know that, Anthony. Tell the people you didn't know that.
I did not at all.
But next week, you bet your bottom dollar that you're going to see it.
it's a running bit on the show, but also like an actual thing. I'm trying to learn French. My wife and I are going to Paris next year for the Olympics, so I'm trying to learn French. It's incredibly difficult. I'm very bad at it. Tips for someone learning French. You did the reverse. For people that don't know, you started as a French speaker, and I was reading on Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's true, but also Haitian Creole, first 2 languages, and then had to learn English, which I know is very, very difficult to learn when it's not your native language. French, English, they don't seem compatible. What's your tip for me as I try to learn French?
I would say watch movies in French with English subtitles. That's what I did. I watched a lot of movies in French, but I had the English. No, I watched a lot of movies in English with the French subtitles. So like movies, music, it's kind of something that's like easy, like on the brain. It's not too much information, but you can still enjoy it and you can see the conversation, because that's the hardest part. Learning like a little word, like to say like, hey, my name is this or whatever, that's easy. But holding a conversation, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, right now I'm really just trying to master, like, I'm American, do you speak English? Because I think in Paris I can get away with that.
Yeah, so je suis américain.
Yeah.
Et je ne parle pas en français.
See, even the way you said that is not the way Duolingo says to say that. So I'll just have to come back to my new French tutor, Benjamin Sejus. BSJ, I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Sure.
Mr. Fortier, how are you? And are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you sent me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I gotta say, I'm gonna send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's...
Yes. James Smith-Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say
What's
something?
up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's
I'll put him on speaker
headphones.
quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith-Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So,
That
you know, forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, like, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, and I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. if you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it on, do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron.
Uh-huh.
I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelsey, not a moron. It was just not the, why am I doing, let's keep going with the comments. We have a new submission to the Real Things Hall of Fame. The F-35 is a fighter jet that the military has. It is very expensive. Very expensive. The F-35 program costs the U.S. government / the military over $1 trillion. Like, this is one of the most expensive things in the U.S. government's budget is the program that makes these planes. Each one is incredibly valuable and expensive. And something happened during a training mission, but this jet leaves, they go on a training mission, and it's in stealth mode, apparently, and the pilot has to eject. So the pilot's like, I'm up out of here. Pilot lands relatively safely, has, I think, an injury or two that has to be tended to, but, like, is alive. But then they lost the jet. So the jet disappeared from the radar. The U.S. government's like, well, we don't know where the jet is. And so the Buford, which is the suburb not suburb, it's in South Carolina. It's by Charleston. Close enough. If people are actually from there and don't want to say that and want to say it's by Hilton Head, I know I grew up in the state. Leave my geography alone for the sake of the story, which I've now made less efficient by telling you all of those things because I can't help myself. Talk about a plane crash. Hey, we're back. So the F-35 gets essentially lost, and they're like, I don't know where this very expensive warplane went. And lo and behold, sometime the next day or later that day, it crashes somewhere, and luckily no one's hurt. But this $100 million plane is gone. Whoopsies, we crashed the plane. And this is an eyewitness account from a Charleston area television station of someone who heard the crash.
In the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
The first thought came to me, I said, am I supposed to see a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if the airplane, it needed to be reported, but the thing was flying just too low.
The F-35B airplane wreckage created an extensive debris field.
That voice, we gotta get a drop for the voice because it might be better than Steph Curry's.
I was gonna say, I feel like we have to do a comparison. Can I pull this off with? Yeah, okay. So I had to compare or see if I had enough channels on the board to do this. But we got Steph Curry here. We got Charlie Brown here. And we got our mans here.
His is better, though.
I think his is the best one. His is definitely, it's not quite Charlie Brown. It's definitely close to Steph Curry, though.
Yes.
We'll see you tomorrow. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, Hour 2 on this Friday, getting you ready for Commanders and Eagles this weekend. We'll pick the rest of the games around the league coming up at 5:30. Our pick 6 at 6. 6 most important storylines / players for the game on Sunday coming up at 6. But right now, you know what time it is. It is time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
There is Ashburn, and that is where Matt Paris has spent his week reporting from the locker room and practice fields on all things Commanders. Paris, what's up, man? Thanks for some time on this Friday.
Nothing much. Thanks for having me. Just me today. No Sam, no Ben.
Yeah, did you hear what happened, by the way, the next time we had Sam on? And who crashed the interview?
No.
Yeah, James Smith-Williams drove up and crashed the interview.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Of course, yes.
yeah, that was good. We'll take that. Although I was like terrified that a PR rep was going to be blowing up my phone, being like, "Why did you?" I'm like, "It's not my fault. Blame Fortier. Always blame Sam Fortier." That's actually a life lesson for everyone out there. Anyway, so I think this week has been interesting, kind of following the team from where we sit, and it's much more of like a fan base pulse than it was when I was on the beat, certainly in the locker room, and what you experience day in, day out, being out there. Where so many weeks after a bad loss, it kind of dissipates as the week goes and the hope kind of resumes and you start to look towards the next week. I feel like this loss against Buffalo is lingering a little longer. That's the fan base side of it, though, interacting with them as a host now. What's it been like being out in Ashburn this week?
I would say it's a bit of both of those. In the locker room, I think you've seen that natural progression where guys are a lot more relaxed. The music is, still pretty loud. Guys are in a cheerful mood. I think they recognize the seriousness of the loss, but at the same time, they aren't necessarily panicking or anything like that. But in the press conferences, it's been a little bit more, not heated, but you definitely saw this week how Eric Bieniemy just said basically the same thing over and over and over, which was nothing. He really tried to stick on message, not reveal too many specifics or details. And I think that was kind of, an intentional choice after they got their butts kicked like they did.
So I actually wanted to ask you about that because reading the full press conference, listening to a bunch of it, like Bieniemy felt a little defensive. Is this just how he is after losses where he just is going to say a lot? I mean, he says a lot of nothing. We played one answer yesterday that was like 1:41, and he said literally nothing in the entire answer. So is this just kind of how he is, or is this a sign of like some other underlying issue? Like, would you say that's an approach of strength or weakness, I guess, is kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he is because this is our first season around him. I haven't pulled back Kansas City transcripts, and even if I did, it'd be hard to find those press conferences because they didn't lose often and nearly in this manner. So we are kind of seeing that, at least for the first time here. As for, I think it's interesting. It comes off a little bit defensive. I agree. That the comment about not knowing that there were 19 sacks, like I think he gets a pass for that. I don't know if he was being serious, but like if Rivera had said that, we'd have we could be eliminated kind of clip all over again and stuff like that. So, I think he gets a little bit of a pass. I think this is still coming together. I don't think it, the problems last week, I think can be put on Bieniemy a little bit, but also there's what made last game so interesting from kind of a fallout standpoint is so many things went wrong. There wasn't just one finger to point or to blame.
Right. Like he kept going back to everybody can play better. And like, that's true. But hey, we asked you about the receivers. We asked you about whatever. Can you just answer the question, my guy? My biggest thing from like a substantive point of view, Matt, and I'm curious what insight you have on this, both from like reporting and asking people in the locker room and your own good football acumen, is I think EB, for his part in it, is still adjusting to having a guy who takes a lot of sacks versus Mahomes, who is the best in the league statistically at avoiding sacks when under pressure. How does that actually affect the game plan, and what solutions are available besides Sam getting better, which is going to be a slow and, for him, painful process?
Yeah, I think there are a couple things. We talked a lot about kind of the run and going to Brian Robinson sooner or Antonio Gibson. I think that's kind of the obvious one, but there are more kind of layered nuances with, the receivers. Terry McLaurin had this really fascinating answer in the locker room this week about how, the spacing could be better for the receivers and how they're still getting kind of used to the system and where they're supposed to be on their landmarks. And when guys aren't on their landmarks, exactly, they kind of look on top of each other. So when Sam Howell gets out of his, break or when he is set to throw and there are three guys in kind of the same area, that's not good. Those are sort of the things that they need to clean up. And I think that's adding, another half second or second for Howell, which is kind of why, he's faced so much pressure. So it is a combination of things. I think, emphasizing a little bit more quick throws, I think would help as well. Maybe some play action to get Howell kind of on rollouts and away from, the line of scrimmage. But it is, there's a lot of things to kind of look at. The thing I wonder with EB is, not just the Mahomes difference, like you said, but, Kansas City, for the last couple of years he was there, they didn't have necessarily star wideouts. They were used to Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill left. I wonder how much of this an adjustment is for Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson and getting used to kind of the weapons that he has here.
No, I think that's definitely part of it. And, I thought it was really interesting that Terry pretty immediately, not just this week, I'm glad that you brought up that comment that he made in the locker room on, I'm guessing it was Wednesday, was when he normally speaks. But he mentioned this in the locker room on Sunday after the game that, we got to be on point with our splits. We got to be on point on this and that. And, some very, what I think most fans would consider minutia of receiver details, but, that is the basics of playing receiver. And to me, that says, they're looking at the stuff on the sideline. They're looking at the pictures and going, hey, we got to clean this up. Because everything just looks muddy for Sam. And that gets to the point of him getting through this stuff faster. It's not like it's just a matter of hey, man, when your back foot hits, ball's got to get out. He's got to be able to know where it's supposed to go. And I think for him, that process of speeding it up is definitely going to take time, but they can do a lot to help him. And I do wonder, too, like you said, how much that, the changing of emphasis of skill sets and who's your best actual weapons plays into that. Is that something that EB has talked about at all, or that some of the players have maybe expressed frustration that they don't feel like they're being featured in the ways that they are hoping to eventually?
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's frustration, but I did a story this week on Jahan Dotson and kind of what was going on with his slow start to the season. And, a major difference is he's not being targeted in the red zone. And I asked, what is that like? Or are teams doing anything different? And he said, no, basically it's like a schematic difference where, last year Scott Turner really emphasized him as a red zone threat. And this year they have a bunch of playmakers who this offense, it spreads the ball around. So, it seems like he's not being looked in the red zone as much or really at all. I mean, he has 0 targets in that area. So, I mean, that's one thing specifically that, I think is a difference.
Matt Paris, Washington Times, with us here on the Hoffman Show for Not My Beat today. On the other side of the ball, there's obviously a lot of talk about the defensive line and, their inability to get pressure on Josh Allen, his ability to escape it the rare times that they did. How have they felt this week as they prepare for Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think realizing that they need to do a better job that last week, the defense still played pretty well, I thought, even though the final score was what it was. But, they had them at 16 points for most of the game. They kind of cracked down when they needed to. But that, you're right, the defensive line didn't put its imprint on the game like it had through the first 2 weeks. I thought it was interesting. Chase Young said something in the locker room about, he was kind of talking stylistically how Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are different types of kind of mobile threats as quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
When, Josh Allen extends the play with his legs. He kind of looks off to take off more as a runner if the play breaks down, where Hurts will kind of extend it and still try and throw downfield. So, they feel like there are a little bit more opportunities there, to get after Hurts versus Allen, where, you have to be so confident of him, taking off and running downfield.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like most people would assume it's the opposite. But you look at Monday night, the touchdown that Hurts throws to Zacchaeus off schedule, that stuff happens all the time. Did Chase talk about kind of his individual performance and, his discipline and whether he felt like he did a good job of kind of playing. I don't want, like, being a good teammate I don't want to necessarily use that phrasing without clarifying. Like, as a football player, not as a guy, like as a football player playing with John Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, making sure that he's just not trying to win his individual rush, but that they are winning as a team. Did he talk about that at all this week?
Not necessarily. I do think he mentioned something about, lane discipline and that needing to be better, but I don't think he went nearly to that amount of detail. I mean, I think the scrum was maybe 90 seconds long. It wasn't.
Sounds about right for Chase.
He didn't talk very long, but yeah, I mean, those are things that you look at the Buffalo game. That is something that they've got to coordinate the pass rush. These things we've heard a million times. I mean, there's a reason they say it so often is because it's often true.
That is definitely true. Matt Paris, Washington Times, with us here on the Hoffman Show. Make sure you read his work. I got to check out the Dotson piece for sure. That's something I've definitely wanted to dive into, so I'm glad that you did. So that is at WashingtonTimes.com. Matt, thank you, sir, and I'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it.
All right, Matt Paris, everybody, with us here on the Hoffman Show. Still to come, 5:30, Anthony and I go around the NFL, where we will pick each and every game, give you the latest news and updates as well, all the injuries, who's in, who's out. Got some rookie quarterbacks coming back. We'll give you the details at 5:30. My guy Damon Amendolara coming up at 6:30 today as well. Some thoughts on the Commanders, some thoughts on Thursday Night Football, and a college football thought or two as well. And then coming up next, what else is going on this weekend? Our weekend preview here on the Hoffman Show. Mr. Fortier, how are you, and are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you send me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's...
Yes. James Smith Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say something?
What's up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's headphones.
Quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So, forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now, that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian. I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, Your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it on, do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron. I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelsey, not a moron. It was just not why am I doing... Let's keep going with the comments. We have a new submission to the Real Things Hall of Fame. The F-35 is a fighter jet that the military has. It is very expensive. Very expensive. The F-35 program costs the U.S. government / the military over $1 trillion. Like, this is one of the most expensive things in the U.S. government's budget is the program that makes these planes. Each one is incredibly valuable and expensive. And something happened during a training mission, but this jet leaves. They go on a training.
It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Coming up in 12-ish minutes, so we will go around the NFL for the full NFL slate and what we got for the weekend in the league. But right now, time to take a look at what else is happening this weekend. Our weekend preview, Anthony, brought to you by...
No one.
Yeah. We're trying. At least I hope someone is.
Yeah.
In our big old gigantic company. But our weekend preview is currently sponsored by the same people that sponsor EJ's Nito Stat of the Night. So we got a fun weekend across local sports. Last weekend of Nationals baseball for the season. That's not necessarily the most fun, but we had a fun night. Up 95 last night. Congrats to the Orioles, AL East champions. So that'll be fun to watch them in the postseason. They're just a fun, if you like baseball, a fun team. As for the Washington Baseball Nationals, what was the over/under for the season, Anthony? Did they get that?
I think it was like under 69 games or something.
Well, they're 69 and 90 right now.
I think it's under 70.
If that's the case, they're gonna need some help. They need a real bad weekend. If 70 was the number, you got let's see, what do we got left? We got at Atlanta tonight, and all through the weekend. So there's a chance if 70 was the number, or if 69.5 was the number, I'm sure different people got it at different times. There's definitely a chance that you get swept by the Braves. Now the Braves have clinched, like they're all set. So who knows, if they play some younger guys or what they do. But at Atlanta tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, that's the end of the season for the Nationals.
I mean, they've been losing they've
a
been
lot.
Stuck at 69.
They have. I mean, they got to 69 with a win over Atlanta on Sunday, September 24th.
Yep.
So that was last Sunday. Then they lost the second game of the doubleheader.
Yep.
And then they got swept by the O's in a little 2-game set Tuesday, Wednesday.
And we'll probably get swept by the Braves too.
So that would keep it at 69, which would not be good for your overs, but
Nope.
would be nice.
And I thought about it, putting in a little bet, but that's why you don't bet. Because now, if I'm a bettor, I'd be stressing the last 3 games.
Yeah. Ryder Cup this weekend. A lot of folks into the Ryder Cup. You know who's not into the Ryder Cup so far? The Americans. Haven't won a match.
Dang.
Not good, bro. You got a couple halves point-wise. I feel I can get a composite score here. Somebody help me out. Come on, full leaderboard, maybe? Team Europe? There we go, 6.5, 1.5. I thought I was going to have to count them up myself, and that's not going to happen. 6.5, 1.5. Yikes, man. And that's after, 2/3 of the tournament is done, basically. You got your Saturday morning tomorrow. Of course, this is happening overnight because it's over in Europe. So
not great for old US of A in the Ryder Cup. And then I guess they got the singles on Sunday. So not good for the US of A. We'll see if they can pull back on Saturday, but that is going on this weekend. I guess there's probably some like golf diehards. Like, is JP Finley staying up till 2 a.m. watching this, or like waking up at 2 a.m. to watch this? You think?
No.
He's probably talked about it on his show.
He might, record it, tape it,
Yeah.
and watch it back. I'm not getting up at 2 a.m. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the question. I said, like, is JP or are the junkies, big golf guys? Are they doing that? By the way, breaking news out of San Francisco: Gabe Kapler out as manager of the Giants. I actually have a Gabe Kapler story. Should I tell this Gabe Kapler story real quick? It's not really my Gabe Kapler story. It's Rachel's.
Oh, wow.
So, she used to live in Philly when Kapler was the manager of the Phils. And when she was starting her fitness coaching journey, which she's a coach at Solid Core, when she started her fitness coaching journey, and this was like her second ever class, all of a sudden this very fit man, she's told me this many years later, but this very fit man like comes and like walks in and is like, "Hi, I'd like to take class." And she's like, "Sure, you devilishly handsome fit man. Sign up here. Do you have an account?" No. Gives his name. And I think he used like Gabriel, not Gabe. And takes class, crushes it. He's very, very strong. And afterwards, she's like, who was that person? And she starts telling her friends about it. And they're like, wait, what was his name? She coached Gabe Kapler and had no idea.
Wow.
None whatsoever.
Did he ever come back?
I don't know if he ever came back. He didn't come back to her class specifically. I think she was still like training at the time. I don't even know if it was a real class.
Dang, that's tough.
Yeah. So that's fun. She coached some Eagles while she was coaching in Philly. She's coached some Commanders players here, I think.
Uh-oh.
She gonna coach you ever?
Rachel's plugged in. I can sign up for one of her classes.
Okay. You realize we're recording and this is on tape, right? This is on video.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, I think next Saturday, October 7th, is a good day for me to go in the morning.
She doesn't coach on Saturday mornings.
Oh. The week is tough.
The week is tough?
Yeah.
Yeah, the afternoon classes that she coaches, I happen to know your schedule. You're busy.
I am.
And the mornings are early. But Sunday, before you watch football.
I have football games on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
But my season does end October 21st, I think, or 22nd.
All right, we're gonna get you in a class.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
You think I can do it?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I haven't taken it in a long time. But I'm
Are you going to do it with me?
Yeah, I would do it with you.
Okay.
I would 100% do it with you.
All right, cool.
As long as I can make it work with my schedule.
All right.
Might involve getting up mega early on a Friday, but we'll figure it out.
Yes, sir.
All right. As for what else is happening this weekend, Spirit are home tomorrow at Audi Field. Blackout game. That's going to be super fun against Kansas City. They have not won. They've drawn a bunch, but they have not won in a long time, since like June. Haven't gotten a full 3 points. Really need it tomorrow. The NWSL, by the way, Anthony, remember, this is currently a 10-team league. 10-team league right now, right? Or have they expanded to 11? I don't remember. It's like 10 or 12. There's multiple expansions coming. I can't remember where we are in the progression, which is a terrible job by me. But currently, the table is so tight. The standings, the table as they call it in soccer, is so tight that with like 3 games to go in the regular season, there are 729 possible playoff combinations.
What?
Literally every team in the league is still alive to make the playoffs. And like, I think all but one maybe can still win the Shield as the best team, technically. Maybe it's not quite that many or not quite that few, but like, it is insane. It is the most competitive, like, high-level sports league in the world of any kind. And And part of that is just where it is in its progression. Year 12 still haven't expanded in a major way, but there's such a concentration of talent. It is so evenly spread. It is wild how good this league is. So Spirit really need it tomorrow night, Audi Field. I believe they're doing the $15 ticket and a beer as well. So great deal to get in. So I'll be there for sure tomorrow night. Spirit and Kansas City Current at Audi Field. When we get back, we're picking every game of the NFL weekend. That was our weekend preview, non-NFL. The weekend preview NFL style is next. Fortier, how are you, and are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you sent me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's...
Yes. James Smith-Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say something?
What's up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's
I'll put him on
headphones.
Quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith-Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So,
Well,
forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now, that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, and I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world.
Exactly.
Don't do it do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron. I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelce, not a moron. It was just not why am I doing... Let's keep going with the comments.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's time to make our picks for Week 4 in the NFL. By the way, if you were listening at the end of the show on Wednesday, you would have heard me ask Siri to remind me/us to pick the Thursday night football game before we got off the air last night. Well, Anthony had to leave early for a meeting, and that reminder did not pop up in time. And so I screenshot the reminder, sent it to Anthony with a facepalm emoji, and then we proceeded to pick the game. Anthony, how did we do on that game?
I think we both picked the Lions.
No, I don't think that's correct, and I have it in text if you really want to play that game.
Oh, man. The thing is, Craig has accused me of cheating before.
Don't make me be right.
But yesterday, I definitely did go with the Packers. I was go Pack Go. And I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Craig was correct.
Yeah. 27-3 at halftime, 34-20 your final score.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly for sure. But, Craig, for you,
yep,
that brings you within one game of yours truly. I am now ahead 30-18, and you are 29-19.
All right, so that's where we stand going into week 4/1 game into week 4. Anthony, I say we fire up the music and pick the rest of them. Yeah, let's do it. All right, Falcons and Jags. This is the early game in London. Hello, Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 3-point favorites at Wembley Stadium. This is their secondary home stadium. Weather, very different than Jacksonville, Florida. Very, very different. I feel like I just went through 3 different types of British accents.
Yes, you did.
That was a weird bit, not intentional. Jags 1-2 on the year. Really need a bounce back game against the Falcons team that's 2-1, coming off their first loss of the season. Is this Trevor Lawrence's get right game?
I think it has to. Do you really think the Jags are going to lose 3 straight? 3
No.
straight?
I don't. I'm picking Jacksonville. I just refuse to think that after the season Lawrence had last year and how good I think their skill position guys are, and like there's no major losses. Like I'm not forgetting that they lost like 4 offensive linemen, did I? Like there's no reason they've been this bad so far. So it is going to be tough. Atlanta's tough defensively. Their additions have done well on the back end. Their safeties, obviously, that they brought in. They are a tough team stylistically to play because they're super dedicated to running the football, and they do it very, very well. And now they've got Bijan, who's out of his mind good. But I just think Jacksonville's potent enough. It's a little bit like last week, Falcons-Lions. Like, Jacksonville wants to get after it and put up some points. Can the Falcons keep up? If Jacksonville can execute, the answer is going to be no. But it's going to come down to Jacksonville's execution, and I think this is the game that they get it right.
Oh, man, this is tough. This is tough. You're going to go Jags. I think I want to go Jags, too. And it's simply for the fact that the Jags, they got to show some kind of fight. Again, you alluded to the fact that they had a strong end to the season last year. They got better, getting Calvin Ridley back. And they just haven't lived up to expectations. So I think this is the game this is their get-right game.
You said that like it was an original thought after I used that same exact phrase.
Yeah.
90 seconds earlier. Dolphins and Bills. So they played 3 games, right? That's how this works. Dolphins are 3-0. That's 3 games. Anthony, do you know how many yards Tua has thrown for?
He's thrown for 962 yards.
Try 1,024.
Dang, I wasn't too far off.
Over 1,000 3 games into the season. That's nuts. That's a 6,000-yard season almost.
Yeah, that's absurd. And the thing is, they tried to stop the bleeding last week against the Broncos. They tried to run the ball, kill the clock.
Right. Imagine if he had just
scoring, racking up yards, more
gone for it. Yeah.
They said every play is designed to score, so I guess.
Yeah, they took that seriously.
Yes.
Tyreek Hill already, by the way, 25 catches for 412. I saw some chart this week about like yards of separation per route, and like there's a big chunk in the middle. Obviously, you have your receivers that are not doing as well. You have receivers that are doing really well. And then, like, somewhere off in the distance on the absurd end of the chart that shouldn't even be on the paper is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to go into Buffalo and they're going to win. Bills are 2.5-point favorites, but look, is Miami going to do what they did last week? Obviously not. But I think this Miami team is every bit as good. I think they feel like they've got a point to prove. And I think their defense also, by the way, feels like it has a point to prove. And they just can score with anybody. I do think that the speed of Miami is going to give Buffalo problems. And I'm going with Miami. I will say if the Bills do win this, that would be very impressive. But I'm going to go with Miami.
The Bills' offense has looked good the last 2 weeks. The
It
Dolphins'
has.
offense has looked great all season. The Bills will be without Jordan Poyer.
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece.
And by the way, last week they put up 70 without Waddle. Waddle's back.
Oh, yeah, that too. I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins, man. I think Tua, he's going to continue to campaign or go on this campaign for MVP. And it starts, going into Buffalo, get a big win over the Bills. I do think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It might be one of those, Chiefs, Bills kind of games where they're just back and forth. A whole bunch of offense, not a ton of defense. And that's something to say, about a very good Bills defense that went crazy last week against the Commanders.
Yeah, and I just got to double check. Do I put Jalen back in the lineup, Mr. Waddle?
Yes, you have to.
Because I got JJ, Ridley, and CD Lamb.
JJ, Ridley.
As in Calvin Ridley.
You have Justin Jefferson too?
Yeah, that was my first pick, remember?
God dang.
My receivers room is
Yeah, your
loaded.
receiver room is really nasty. I would probably take Calvin out until, maybe he's due for a week.
Maybe. That's what I'm afraid of, is that he's due for
but he's going to have a tough
gigantic.
He is playing against his former team, but he will be going against AJ Terrell. I don't know. I would probably keep Ridley in. I don't know. That's tough. No, take CD out.
Yeah, CD's facing New England, and they do funky stuff defensively.
Take CD out.
I think Belichick's going to try to shut him down. All right, thanks for your help with that.
No problem.
That made me think of it because also Tua is my fantasy quarterback. I got Tua and JJ.
Yes, nasty.
We're rolling. Opposite of rolling is this game. Ironically, somehow, I don't even know if irony is the right thing, just coincidentally, there are 6 0-3 teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They're all playing each other this weekend. So our first of 3 0-3 matchups is Broncos and Bears. A true someone's got to win it game. Because I think the other two, there's at least interesting stuff. These two teams stink. They stink the high heavens. You got Chase Claypool today in the locker room being asked straight up, hey, are they using you to the best of your abilities? And him going, nah. Bears receiver Chase Claypool. The Broncos are a mess. I think they're better than the Bears. This could be a people get fired week in Chicago. I'm going Denver and feel horribly about it.
You're going to go Denver? I want to lean
Which is
there.
funny because I've been like Mr. Chicago. Mr. Fields is going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I just think nobody is as bad as the Bears right now. Like, offensively, they stink. Defensively, I hate to have to pick this game. I think I'm going to just go Broncos as well. I was a Fields believer, but I don't like it.
I hate picking between teams that I like, and I hate picking against teams that I think shouldn't be allowed to play NFL football for the rest of the season. And this is the latter. Ravens and Browns. I'm just gonna have to this is another one where I struggle because I've sworn to never pick the Browns as long as Deshaun Watson is their quarterback.
He might not play.
But is he banged up?
He's questionable with a shoulder injury.
Okay, this is helping me push back towards the Ravens direction. The problem is the Ravens are not actually the Ravens right now. They are so banged up that it is Lamar and who else? Beckham is out again. Their other top receiver is out. Obviously, their running back situation's a mess after losing Dobbins for the season, and other guys are banged up. Like, defensively, they're missing guys. Cleveland's defense is so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pick Cleveland because I want to be right.
Yep.
And I don't trust the Ravens' banged up nature. And I'm just going to hope Watson doesn't play and that I haven't broken my rule.
I mean, offensively, they're not only banged up on that side, but defensively as well. I mean, if Watson doesn't play, that changes everything. But I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play. He came out of last game looking really good, at one of his best offensive outings. Amari Cooper, he looks, the part. They got Elijah Moore more involved in the offense. And Jerome Ford, man.
The problem is I like so much else about the Browns. They
Yeah.
just are the team that signed the guy who sucks.
And then their defense.
And their defense is
Yeah.
like their defense is off to a historic start. Like there's a bunch of advanced data and stats and stuff it's pretty remarkable. So I'm just gonna hold my nose, pick the Browns, and then I'll be wrong because that's how that works. Bengals and Titans, man, this could very easily be a matchup of 0-3 teams. Bengals get off the schneid last week. The Titans look disastrous. Give me Cincinnati on the road in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals as well. Another injury for another Titans lineman. They can't do anything. I'm not, depending on Tannehill going out here putting up 300 yards and Derrick Henry hasn't been able to get on track. I'm going with the Bengals blowout fashion.
Rams and Colts. So we mentioned some of the rookie quarterbacks coming back. This is one of them. Anthony Richardson back in the fold for Indianapolis after a couple nice games from Gardner Minshew. Rams obviously lose on Monday night to Cincinnati. I don't know what to do with this game. I never know what to do with your Colts, man. They're just such an up and down, unpredictable team.
I'll go first.
You're picking
I'm
Indy.
going with the Colts. Now, I will let you know, they are having some lineman issues. One of their guys I think their guard is concussed. Braden, he's questionable, their center. So, I don't know. AD, he loves to find the weak link on the offensive line. And
Sure
if
does.
you have a center, you have a young guard out there, he's going to feast. And Anthony Richardson is also a young quarterback, but I'm not looking at the offense. I'm looking at the defense. They've generated so many turnovers the first 3 games, and I think this is the game where, you have to get out to Matthew Stafford. He turned it over a couple of times against the Bengals. I'm going with the Colts and that defense, baby.
Yeah, that's where I think I'm leaning as well. I think there's a really great chance that the Rams can pull this off. I mean, this feels like a good Sean game plan kind of game where he figures something out, but I'm going to go with Indy at home. That's what we're going with. Bucks and Saints, battle for NFC South supremacy. Buccaneers 2-1 on the year after that nasty loss against Philly on Monday night where their offense kind of came back to earth. Saints 2-1 as well. They'll be without Derek Carr. Jameis starting, which actually in some levels makes it more interesting. Jameis, the wild card always. I'm going to go with New Orleans at home in this one. The Bucks, the 2-0 start was nice, but I think they've come crashing down to earth, and I think the offensive performance we saw last week is very much up in the air as a possibility again against a very good Saints defense.
Yeah. Also, the Saints get back Alvin Kamara. I think that's going to help a lot.
Right, they do.
So, as you've already alluded to, the Bucks offense the first 2 weeks, I just think, to start the season, people catch people off guard. And again, you said they came down to earth. I think so. I think I'm going to roll with the Saints as well. Come on, Jameis. Get them ain'ts. NFC South supremacy.
All right, up next, we got the Commanders-Eagles game on my list here. We'll come back to that at the end of the show. Vikings and Panthers, which, by the way, I thought there's too many numbers here. I think it's just there's 4 0-3 teams.
Yes, sir. There's 4.
Which means also our graphic is wrong. So, whoopsie daisies. Here's your Easter egg. Whoopsie daisies. I thought there were 6 teams, but it's 4 0-3 teams, not 3 games of 0-3 teams. But the Vikings and Panthers, this is the one that's actually interesting to me. If Minnesota can just not turn the football over, they're going to annihilate Carolina. Bryce Young is back. And you remember what that number was for Tua? How many yards he's thrown for?
1,024?
That's correct. You know how many Kirk has?
1,000.
1,075.
Dang, he has more?
He has more passing yards. And I told you the numbers for Tyreek. It was like 25 and 404 or something like that.
Yes, sir.
JJ's 27 for 458. Like, their offensive passing game is rolling, and there is not a lot of resistance on that Carolina defense. They are mega rebuilding mode. That's just not a good football team. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I know I'm at the bottom of the sea holding on to the Viking ship. This isn't even me just being a Vikings, I don't want to say homer, but believer that they were going to turn it around. That belief has died. It's just that the Panthers are on the schedule. Minnesota goes to Charlotte, wins it.
I think I'm going to go Minnesota as well.
I thought for a second you were gonna.
I think I'm gonna go. I do like the young pieces that the Panthers have on the defensive side of the ball. J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin. I like those guys. Brian Burns. But the Vikings, literally, they've shot themselves in the foot the first 3 games. Keep turning the rock over. Madison's the guy that's been disappointing to me because before Dalvin, left, he was a nice serviceable backup. But it's just what happens when you assume the starting role as the RB1.
Yeah,
But I
and
think
you're
I'm
not
going
as good as the other guy.
I'm going with the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. We'll see. 1 o'clock on Sunday. Last 1 o'clock game: Steelers and Texans. C.J. Stroud has been a nice little surprise. I don't think people anticipated him coming in and being this polished as a passer. He has been fantastic. He's thrown for 906 and 4 touchdowns through the first 3 games of the season. Tank Dell getting free, dude running through the secondary. Collins has had a nice year for them. And it's really, to me, it's like, I do think that the Texans are going to be able to score a little bit. But how can TJ Watt and company and Minka, what can they do to a young quarterback while the Steelers offense has been pretty putrid? I mean, they were good enough against Vegas, but that's not a very good football team that Josh McDaniels has. I think I'm going to go Steelers. I trust the veterans on that Pittsburgh defense against a young Houston team. But it will not surprise me if Houston wins. And if Houston does win, I'm going to start taking them. I'm going to start to look at them very, very differently.
Yeah, I think a lot of just media members are super high on C.J. Stroud. They've broken down the tape. They've seen, how comfortable he's got behind his offensive line. Not going to say they're the best because they have a lot of people banged up on the offensive side of the ball. But he has an internal clock in his head, and he knows he has to get the ball out. And that's what's been good about, his growth so far. But I think T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, I think those boys are about to make it hell on this young quarterback in C.J. And I think they're going to go out here and get the dub. Offensively, I am concerned because
they're not good.
It looks ugly, man.
Yeah.
It's so tough to watch. I hate watching Steelers games. It is so
I don't
tough
watch
to
Steelers
watch.
games.
I'd rather watch paint dry. Like that's how bad the Steelers offense is. But defensively, I think they'll be able to, help set themselves up.
For sure. I also think it's important to remember that, young guys are going to do young guy stuff on occasion. Last week, Sam Howell was everyone's darling. Dan Orlovsky and everyone, and this is not like a shot at Dan or anybody else. We had some of these guys on. Robert Mays was loving watching the Commanders tape. And then it's like, right, he's in his 5th career start, or his 4th career start. C.J. Stroud about to be in his 4th. What does it look like? There's going to be, a regression, not necessarily because he's bad and he's going backwards, but, he's going to have a rookie game, and through 3, he's been pretty damn good. And the Steelers seem like a prime candidate for that to happen against. Raiders and Chargers. I don't know this is a 1-2-3 game. I don't think the Chargers have earned that. They're only 1-2, but I don't know who the Raiders would have to play for me to pick them right now. That's a mess out there.
It's still a divisional game, though. It is still a divisional game. And Herbert, he's looked the part all season long, but he does lose Mike Williams.
He does.
So I think that hurts their offense a little bit, and they'll still be without Austin Eckler. I don't know, man. I think the game plan sort of shifts towards just stopping and honing in on Keenan Allen. I mean, they have other playmakers. They drafted Quentin Johnston. But he has to go out there and prove, he's worth that first-round pick. So
yeah, they got some tight ends they like a little bit.
Yep.
So
Everett Parham.
Yeah, Parham, who was here. I remember watching that dude in training camp and being like, he's very, very tall. I don't think he's that good. And all of a sudden, he's with Herbert and he's balling out because he's 100 feet tall.
I think I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think I'm going with Devontae is also – yes, I know. Devontae, I think this is going to be one of those games where he goes out there and put the team on his back.
Garoppolo, by the way, questionable.
Whoa, hold on.
With a concussion.
Questionable. Hold on, timeout. If he ain't playing, then I'm going with the Chargers.
I'll let you contingency that. If Garoppolo plays, Raiders. If Garoppolo doesn't, Chargers.
Okay.
You don't have to. That's people will be like, that's cheating. It's like, no, that's smarter analysis than you got to pick one. I mean, we're not doing a betting slip right now. Then you'd have to pick. That'd be sweet. Hey, if the good guys play, this team. Patriots and Cowboys. Dallas 6.5-point favorites, speaking of the betting, at home. That is a big line against New England and Belichick. But I do think Dallas is the better team, and I think they're going to come out pretty ticked off after what they did last week against Arizona.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I feel bad for Mac Jones. Michael Parsons is about to
can't feel bad for Mac Jones. Mac Jones just keeps doing
what
dumb
he did last
stuff.
week.
Yeah.
He brought it on himself then, I guess. I guess he's due for this.
Yeah.
He's due for this. I'm going with the Cowboys as well.
Okay.
This could have been a 1-2-3.
This is a 1-2-3. Cardinals, 49ers. All due respect to Arizona. Good job of playing tough last week. 1-2-3. 49ers. Chiefs and Jets on Sunday Night Football. Yes, Taylor Swift will be there to watch Travis Kelce and company, who are 9-point favorites against the Jets. Is this a 1-2-3?
Yes, it is, correct.
All right. 1-2-3.
Chiefs.
Zach Wilson.
It's going to get ugly.
Is this Zach Wilson's last game as the Jets starting quarterback?
It's his last game if the Vikings lose.
Oh. See, I don't think that trade's happening. I think
At all?
No.
Far-fetched.
Kirk, it's not that it's far-fetched.
Oh, he has a no-trade clause, right?
Kirk has the no trade, and if I'm Kirk, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that would be janky.
Especially if they're already in a 1-3 hole. Like, you win, the Jets lose, Vikings win, you're both 1-3. And I'd rather be in the NFC North than I would the AFC East with Miami and Buffalo.
AFC in general.
Yeah, that too. And then Monday Night Football, Seahawks and Giants. Seahawks 1.5-point favorites on the road at MetLife Stadium against the Giants team that does not look quite as sharp as they did last year.
No, they don't. I think I want to go Giants, though. Their defense has got to get it together. They're going to figure it out one of these weeks, and they're going to get back to, being dominant. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams.
Saquon's supposed to be back.
They got to answer the call. Thibodeau, he hasn't looked the part at all.
Nope.
Ojulari, nobody up front. Again, something's going to click for them. And one of these games, and I think I'm going to roll with the Giants this game. I love what, Kenneth Walker's been doing, though, with the Seahawks.
47 for 204 on the year. Look at me picking Geno Smith. I'm going Seahawks.
You're riding that Geno? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craig is picking Geno.
I saw a great clip. My thing with Geno is I always found him, and this goes back to college. There's a little bit of arrogance there. I didn't really love it, and I also thought he wasn't that good. Obviously, I saw him in college. His first 8 years in the league or whatever, he wasn't very good. He's played a lot better, no doubt. At some point it became much more joking than reality. But seeing some of the maturation of him as a leader is genuinely really, really cool. And there's a great clip of him. I think it was talking to Jackson Smith and Jigba last week after a drop and being like, I'm coming back to you. I believe in you. And it was really cool. So hats off to Geno. But I think there's something off in New York right now. I do think some of the contract stuff feels like it's lingering into the season, some of the vibes. So I'm going to go with Seattle over New York on Monday Night Football. Those are our picks. When we get back, we go back to the Commanders and Eagles game, and we give you the 6 most important points / 6 most important players to watch for on Sunday. Our pick 6 at 6, then DA joins us here on The Hoffman Show.
Mr. Fortier, how are you, and are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you send me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I gotta say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. 2, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's...
James Smith-Williams just pulled up and haunting me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you
What's
want
up?
to say
What's
something?
up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is
I'll
just
put
in
him on-
Sam's
I'll put him on speaker
headphones.
quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith-Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So,
That
you
too.
know, forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, like, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian. I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it on, do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron. I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelce, not a moron. It was just not the, why am I doing, let's keep going with the comments. We have a new submission to the Real Things Hall of Fame. The F-35 is a fighter jet that the military has. It is very expensive. Very expensive. The F-35 program costs the U.S. government / the military over $1 trillion. Like, this is one of the most expensive things in the U.S. government's budget is the program that makes these planes. Each one is incredibly valuable and expensive. And something happened during a training mission, but this jet leaves, they go on a training mission, and it's in stealth mode, apparently, and the pilot has to eject. So the pilot's like, I'm up out of here. Pilot lands relatively safely, has, I think, an injury or two that has to be tended to, but, like, is alive. But then they lost the jet. So the jet disappeared from the radar. The U.S. government's like, well, we don't know where the jet is. And so the Buford, which is the suburb not suburb, it's in South Carolina. It's by Charleston. Close enough. If people are actually from there and don't want to say that and want to say it's by Hilton Head, I know I grew up in the state. Leave my geography alone for the sake of the story, which I've now made less efficient by telling you all of those things because I can't help myself. Talk about a plane crash. Hey, we're back. So the F-35 gets essentially lost, and they're like, I don't know where this very expensive warplane went. And lo and behold, sometime the next day or later that day, it crashes somewhere, and luckily no one's hurt. But this $100 million plane is gone. Whoopsies. We crashed the plane. And this is an eyewitness account from a Charleston area television station of someone who heard the crash.
In the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
He first started getting at me. I said, what's it, a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if the airplane, it needed to be reported. Let the thing be flying this too low.
The F-35B airplane wreckage created an extensive debris field.
That voice, we gotta get a drop for the voice because it might be better than Steph Curry's.
I was gonna say, I feel like we have to do a comparison. Can I pull this off with? Yeah, okay. So I had to compare or see if I had enough channels on the board to do this. But we got Steph Curry here. We got Charlie Brown here. And we got our mans here.
His is better, though.
I think his is the best one. His is definitely, like, it's not quite Charlie Brown. It's definitely close to Steph Curry, though.
Yes.
It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Of course, we are also on YouTube at the Team 980, all 3 hours every day. And it is time for our Pick 6. That is the 6 most important players for the Commanders to beat the Eagles this weekend. Anthony, I feel like we keep tweaking it every week. Let's set a way we're going to do this. Do we want the most interesting, like the things that we're watching, the things that we're tracking, or do we want like the 6 best? Because I feel like the interesting watching tracking is actually better analysis. The 6 best is like who's going to have the best game is more like sports radio prediction stuff. And I actually think that people come to us for analysis.
Yeah, I think these are the 6 players that have the spotlight on them. So sort of kind of like the most interesting that we're tracking, that we're monitoring the most, because we think their performance is ultimately going to affect the result.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's time for Pick 6.
The 6 biggest Commander storylines.
It is caught!
Delivered at 6 o'clock sharp. It's the Pick 6 at 6.
I'm going to be their biggest and harshest critic, but I'm also their #1 fan.
All right, it is not often that I will allow us to use the quarterback here, but I am going to take #1, Anthony. I apologize for that. I'm going to take the lowest hanging of fruit here, but go ahead. Let's go #1.
#1
is Sam Howell. And if we're going to do this analysis, like let's do it. Sam has got to play better. And there's a lot of other factors that go into Sam Howell playing well, from the play calling to the receivers being better to the line being better. But ultimately, like, there are certain things Sam can control that he has got to simply do better. And I've talked about this at length this week, but to give a quick rundown on some of them. He's got to not stay on his first progression, or first read in progressions quite as long. The Bills talked about after the game how they knew, especially on 3rd down, like he would hold that first receiver a little bit longer. You got to be able to read it faster. Is the defender in a place where they're going to be able to make a play if I throw the ball to my landmark or not? If they are, guy's dead, move on to the next one. If they're not going to be able to make a play, then throw the ball and trust that your receiver is going to be where they need to be. And if they're not, then that's ultimately going to be on them. It might take a couple days for the media narrative to be that way, but you know, and your coaches will know, and that's the most important. You've got to trust that if the look is there, make the throw. And if it's not, can you read multiple things at once? And this is, again, high-level quarterbacking stuff. But, again, certain looks, certain receivers in your progression just aren't even worth looking at. If you're, or if they're playing it certain coverage a certain way, if they're just dropped way off, get to the check down right now and let that player catch the ball with space and move to room to run. So, yes, do they need to potentially run the ball more or find ways to get the ball out of his hands by design faster? Absolutely. But there are certain things that Sam can improve. Some of them are going to take longer periods of time and more reps and experience, but some of them are things that have been coached up this week that if they are fresh on his mind, I think he can perform better this weekend at, and that is on Sam. So obviously don't turn the football over. And some of that too is like, forget the on-schedule stuff. When you roll out and try to loft it over a AJ Epinesa, don't do that. Like, that's a simple fix. That's not a process type of thing. That's a, hey, buddy, don't do that. and you avoid a pick six last week. So it's that stuff too of being smart with the football, being judicious, and while it's low-hanging fruit, while it's not original analysis, sometimes the simple stuff is actually what you need to say. And in that, number one in our pick six is number 14, number one in your hearts, Sam Howell.
Love it. Number 2, Craig.
Number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Chase Young. And I understand he was in our pick six last week, but last week was more so, see how he bounced back from week 1. This time he's in it just because, and everybody's been critical of it. I know you were critical of his performance last week. Lane discipline. Every time it comes to, playing a mobile quarterback, I think Chase Young is the guy that does not, mesh with everybody. Like, he's the one that's doing whatever he wants. And it's more so if Chase learns how to, just rush his lane and just play as a unit. Like, literally, if he just pushes the pocket just like everyone else is pushing the pocket, then we won't have Josh Allen rushing 3 times for 46 yards and a touchdown. We won't have, Marcus Mariota, having a field day on us because we can't keep the edge, or Daniel Jones. So I think in our pick six at number 2, Chase Young, just him playing discipline is why I have him here.
So it's 2 things for me. It's discipline, but it's also communication. Logan made this point on Take Command that was really, really good. And this is why I love doing the show with him, because he's super smart and played in the league and sees stuff that we just don't. We don't have that experience, and we don't necessarily know always what to look for. But he said this is Chase coming back and rushing the way he's rushing is massively negatively affecting John Allen's rush. And because John is kind of rushing tentative and almost confused, it's like, well, what is Chase going to do? Because I want to try to make him right.
Yeah.
But if I don't know what he's doing, I don't know if I'm going to have to, can I stay inside? Am I going to get pinned in here? Do I need to bounce outside? Do I need to just stay in my lane? Is he just staying out? Oh, well, he stayed in his lane this time, so I guess I can freelance a little bit. It's my turn. Oh, well, now it's too late because I'm taking too long. So how's the communication between Chase and whoever's playing next to him is part of it. And then, can you have the discipline to know that sometimes your job, like, hey, man, I'm rushing straight on this one.
Yep.
Like, this is you, or I'm going to come pick for you. Like, I'm going to come inside. We're going to run this stunt, and I'm going to be the pick for you, so that when we play this game, you, John Allen, are the one that gets the pressure in the sack. So I think what they need is Chase to play a little more selfless, because it's not like he's not winning these rushes. He's got the highest win rate on the team per PFF.
Yeah.
But can you win within the context of the scheme? Can you win within the construct of the scheme? And can you do it while being a good teammate? And again, I don't mean sleeping through meetings or like a non-football stuff. I mean, just surely as being a good teammate on the field. Can you be that guy, because you are not rushing with just some defensive tackle next to you. You're rushing next to Daron Payne and John Allen, and them dudes can cook. And by the way, they might have better matchups than you. The Philly guards are good, but the Philly tackles are insanely good. Mm-hmm. So I would hope that John Allen and Daron Payne get their opportunities. I would expect to see some Cinco front as well this week to try to create those one-on-ones with John Ridgway playing that nose. All right, number 3. Cody Barton. He was in here. Last week it was like Cody and Jamin. And, of course, like, Jamin can't just suck. That would be bad. But I think Jamin's at the point where I expect him to play well week in, week out, and he's answered the bell for the most part every single week. Cody Barton, if he is not like on it this week, if he doesn't finally get caught up to speed, it's going to be a bad day for the Commanders. Because the number one thing you have to do against Philly with this O-line, with the way they want to play, with Jalen and everything, is you have to stop the run. If they run the ball down your throat, if they pop big explosive runs, you're not beating them. If you make Jalen win from the pocket, you have a chance. He still can beat you from the pocket. That's not a shot at Jalen Hurts, pocket passer, but you got a better chance than him turning around and handing the ball off and then getting heavy play action where you're then flowing to the ball and leaving a ton of space for him to just drop dimes to wide open receivers who, by the way, are awesome after the catch down the field. So Cody Barton plays a massive responsibility in this because some of the runs that have gotten out against this team are because he's a little bit slow to fit them. The way they fit runs in Seattle is different than the way that they fit runs here. He has gotten better game by game, but this is a big, gigantic Cody Barton game. And if he does not play well in this one, now I think we're getting serious about making some kind of switch where Jamin is on the field 100% of snaps. If they're not considering making that switch already, which I would based off the talent because Jamin's a better player. But if he struggles on Sunday, I think you have to consider making that switch moving forward. And this will be the toughest test you have all season in this regard. And by the way, you get it again later in the season because they're a divisional opponent.
I love it, man. Coming in at number 4, though, Craig. This one might surprise you.
Number 4.
Number 4, I'm going Curtis Samuel.
I love it.
I mean, we already know the Eagles have Darius Slay. They have James Bradbury. They're probably going to be matched up against Terry and Jahan. Craig, do you know who Josh Jobe and Justin Evans are?
I'm guessing they're the next guys.
They are the next guys. We don't know who they are for real. We saw Josh Jobe pick up some penalties against the Bucks. So I'm expecting, Curtis Samuel to come in and be impactful as he's been as our third guy. We haven't necessarily been able to get Terry and Jahan super involved, but when we've seen Curtis involved, he's had some huge plays, down the field. He's caught some passes and been able to turn up. So I'm thinking with Devontae Maddox out and the Eagles, secondary being a little banged up, I'm thinking this
Bradbury's banged up too.
Exactly. So I'm thinking this is a good opportunity for, a Curtis to, have an explosive game, but also Jahan. Terry too. He's gotten the best of Darius Slay. I think this is a game, again, and I talked about it earlier, about Eric Bieniemy getting these receivers involved. I think this is a game where, we have to see these put the ball in their hands and allow those guys to go make some plays.
Yeah, Commanders' offensive line's got to have a big day because they got to give Sam time to throw. And look, to be clear, they've given him time to throw, and that's why my number 1 was Sam and not the O-line. Sam's got to get the ball out, but there should be opportunities because this Eagles secondary is not if there's one relative weakness on this team, it's been in their secondary so far. They have great talent back there, so they can certainly turn it around, but they have given up a few plays here and there. And then obviously a game against Minnesota, they gave up a bunch of yards, but Minnesota fumbled the bag because that's been Minnesota's MO all year. All right, my last guy, number 5, and then Anthony will finish us off for our pick 6 at 6.
Number 5.
I'm going to go with Derek Forrest. I feel like he has been very boom or bust for the Commanders in some of their big games over the last couple of years. There are games where he shows up and he rocks people and he sets a physical tone and he makes plays over the top, in the post. He's a very good football player. I'm very happy he's on the team. I'm happy he's a starter. No qualms. But there's the occasional play that gets made on Derek Forrest. And so, yes, I thought about picking Benjamin St. Juice. Obviously, Kendall Fuller's going to be there. You got the slim-on-slim matchup between Forbes and Devontae Smith. There's going to be some really fun stuff in the passing game for the Eagles. But Derek Forrest can make that a lot harder. And I think when you look at some of the stuff that Jalen does, he likes to put the ball out there for his guys to make plays deep. So where are those safeties to come and finish off plays? Obviously, Cam is going to want some redemption off of what happened to him last week, some opportunities to make plays that slipped through his hands, whether they were humans or footballs. But I think Derek Forrest can be a huge tone setter for them. And, when he's in the mix, when he creates a turnover, their chances of winning skyrocket. So I'm going Derek Forrest for my last guy in our pick 6 at 6.
I love Derek Forrest, too. That's a great pick right there.
Number 6.
Number 6, Craig. You just brought him up. I'm going E. Forbes. And part of the reason I'm going E. Forbes is because, again, if we want to win games, we have to win the turnover battle. And guess what? We drafted E. Forbes because he led the NCAA in pick sixes. I'm not saying we're going to get a pick 6, but I would love for him to be able to generate some type of interception or turnover of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the same velocity that Josh Allen is throwing with. He puts a lot of air under it and allows, his playmakers to go up and make a play. So I'm thinking E. Forbes, Derek Forrest, as you just mentioned, they're going to have chances to go out there and intercept the ball on Jalen Hurts. So, again, we got to win this turnover battle, and I think it's going to start with Forbes.
Yeah, and if they want to try to run it when the Commanders are a nickel, like, can he continue to be the excellent run support player that he's been?
Yep.
Obviously, that's going to be a big part of what they do. I just imagine big Jason Kelsey getting out, seeing that skinny man and being like, I'm going to eat. But he's been great at ducking blocks and, like, you know, making plays. So big week for sure for Emmanuel Forbes. This game, 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll get you ready for it with the Take Command pregame show live starting at 10 a.m. on a burgundy and gold game day. And then Take Command postgame show is live 90 minutes after the final whistle. That is exclusive to YouTube. We get back here on the Hoffman Show. Our guy Damon Amendolar is a monumental day for DA. His last show with CBS Sports Radio before he starts at SiriusXM on Monday. Our guy joins us, though, for one time. His actually, Anthony, you know, CBS Sports Radio, an Odyssey property. This is his last Odyssey assignment.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Oh,
Like,
because he started.
I mean,
Monday.
I think he's gonna still come on with us. I mean, that's the plan. You know, moving forward. But this is his last Odyssey assignment. You don't want to miss it. DA on the Commanders on Thursday Night Football last night, and a college football thought or two next here on the Hoffman Show. Mr. Fortier, how are you? And are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you send me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's... Yes.
James Smith-Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say
What's
something?
up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's
I'll put him on speaker
headphones.
quick.
Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith-Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So,
That
you know,
too.
forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're gonna have to investigate. Was that like, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, and I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelsey confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron. I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelsey, not a moron. It was just not the, why am I doing... Let's keep going with the comments. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. Time to welcome in now our guy, Damon Amendolara of CBS Sports Radio. And this is his last assignment as Damon Amendolara of CBS Sports Radio, because starting Monday, the DA show is moving to Sirius XM Channel 82, Mad Dog Radio, 6 to 9 a.m. DA, I am so honored that you are spending your final Odyssey coins with us here on the Hoffman Show.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I've cashed in all my skee ball tickets, all my Odyssey coins. And what did I get? One last phoner with the Hoffman Show.
Yes. Now, we hope certainly that you will continue with us once you're on Sirius XM, but we can discuss the Sirius Odyssey coin exchange rate off the air. Right now, we'll talk some football. Starting last night with the Lions and the Packers. Interesting game for sure. I kind of went into last night's game going like, all right, maybe we'll find out if Jordan Love's good. If we're basing it off last night's game, not so much. Lions offense, potent. What'd you take out of it?
I thought the Lions asserting themselves on the road at Lambeau and the way that they did it was a clear sign that they are now the bullies of the division. And to think that the Lions would be bullies is something that we have never said. And to think that they would own the Packers, we would never say. But that's the case. They've won 3 in a row. They knocked the Packers out of the playoffs Week 18 last year. They went back to Lambeau last night, and they ran the football down their throats, and it was bully ball. And there was a moment early fourth quarter where the Packers had closed the lead to 10, 27-17. Lions took the ball over on their own 25-yard line and proceeded on a 14-play, 75-yard touchdown drive, which culminated from 4th and 1. Now, on 4th and 1, Campbell could have kicked the field goal, been up 13, chip shot, and now you know they need 2 touchdown drives. Instead, he goes, screw it, we're going for it, 4th and 1. And they punch it into the end zone, touchdown on the ground, that I thought it was such a telltale sign of who is the king of the NFC North right now.
So being the king of certain divisions in football isn't worth very much. Do you think the Lions are just the best in that division, which has got a bunch of other disappointing teams? Or do you think this is a legitimate, like, they could be in the NFC Conference Championship game contender type of team?
There is clearly a hierarchy of Niners, Eagles, and everybody else in the NFC, and that includes the Cowboys. The Cowboys are not at that level. I think the Lions can be at the Cowboys level of expectations, which is you win the division, you get to the playoffs, you find yourself in the divisional round, and then everybody else is going to have to find a way to upset the Niners or the Eagles. And I don't know if the Lions can do that. But I do think that just being king of the NFC North, the Lions have been trash for a really long time. They have never been a true bully. They've kind of slipped into the playoffs and been one and done. They haven't won a playoff game since Barry Sanders in 91, I think. So 92 or something. So you're talking about 30 years of this team never really being the kingpin, and even if it's in a weak division, I still think that's a very significant storyline.
DA, soon to be Sirius XM with us here on the Hoffman Show. That then begs the question of, like, how sustainable is this? Is this something where they are taking advantage of a pretty solid group in a weak division, but, like, yeah, that's it for now? Or do you feel like what the Lions have built, what we all saw start last year on Hard Knocks, is actually building towards something that can be here for a while?
The Lions are legit in a lot of ways. Now, again, I'm not going to pick them to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're that good. But Jared Goff clearly has been the perfect leader for them. No ego, doesn't need headlines, but is a fighter, is a guy that's got some tenacity, stuff that we didn't see in L.A. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an excellent young wide receiver. Aiden Hutchinson is an excellent young pass rusher. Their DBs are good. They now can run the football, and we saw that last night. I think that there is a lot to believe is sustainable, and Dan Campbell has proven that he's grown up quite a bit. I was not a Campbell fan or believer early in his career as a head coach because I just thought you can't wear your heart on your sleeve that dramatically as a head coach. There's too many ups and downs you need to navigate. And crying over a loss like you did early last year publicly, or the biting of the kneecaps, or I drank all this cappuccino all day, it made him seem like a cartoonish gym teacher that was just trying to, like, pump up seventh graders. And I was thinking that that's not sustainable, but I think he's graduated and matured since then. And I think he comes off as a guy that is now exuding the confidence that his team is picking up. And I do like Campbell, and I do like the Lions as a very solid playoff team now in the NFC for a couple of years.
I will say, if he's going to keep drinking that much caffeine, it is definitely not sustainable. That man's heart is going. I know he's a large man, but his heart is going to explode. There's just no way.
There's no question. That's a lot of freaking caffeine. That's a lot of nitro being injected into your veins. That's not something that anybody should play around with.
No, very, very unrecommended. Damon Mendelara with us here on the Hoffman Show. And so the reason I asked that, DA, is like, if you're another team in the league that has been historically bad, and I don't mean to do this just to like Washington, like they just changed ownership. I think they're in a different bucket. But if you're the Jets, or pick any other number of teams that have, occasionally flared up and been okay, but largely not been good, what do you take from what the Lions are doing as the reason why, and then how do you ultimately repeat it? Because I like, that's the case study.
Yeah, it's coach and GM. They stabilized the front office and started to assemble a better roster. And their head coach was an intense individual who clearly connected with the players and was open-minded enough to grow along with the job. He wasn't stubborn. He wasn't a meathead. He was smart enough to be somebody who could self-assess and grow up with the guys around him as they ascended to a different level. So it sounds really simple, but they got the GM stabilized in a front office that could pick players, and then they got a head coach that could instill belief. And the players are better than the Lions have had in a while, but more so, there is a conviction from the top on down. This is who we are. This is how we go about business, and we're changing expectations. I can't tell you the last time that this happened in Detroit. We've seen so many bumbling idiots at head coach. We've seen even when there was Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, there was never really a true direction of the franchise. There was always holes on the roster. It just was a team that was lacking an identity and had nothing more really than a quarterback and a wide receiver. And now it's the exact opposite. I think you look at them not as a star-laden team. You look at a team that's just solid with the kind of meat of but right now he's playing really well and is exactly what that team needs.
Damon Mendelara, new show starting Monday on Sirius XM, Mad Dog Radio, channel 82. Same time, 6 a.m. Goes to just 9. So make sure you get up early. Make sure you listen to DA starting Monday not on CBS Sports Radio, over on Sirius XM. His final CBS Sports Radio assignment here with us on the Hoffman Show. Okay, last week we talked about, are the Commanders for real? Then they lost 37-3 to the Bills in one of the weirdest games you'll ever see, one of the most bizarre quarterbacking games you'll ever see. 9 sacks, 4 interceptions for Sam Howell. When you watch that game and you process it, is it fluky? Is it worrying? Is it telling? Like, how is it something that you actually put stock into over the long term and changed your mind a lot about this Washington team at all?
No, it didn't change my thought long term, but it changed my thought short term. I thought the way that they played the first 2 weeks was competitive, was spunky, was energized, and then last week the wheels came off, sloppy, mistake-prone, and the Buffalo Bills looked like they were 3 weight classes above, and maybe they are. Maybe the Bills have figured out who they are this year after some maybe a little bit of early stumbles against the Jets in week 1, and they are just going to end up being the second-best team of the AFC or the first-best team of the AFC, and this will just look like this is who the Bills are. So I just thought it changed a little bit of how I felt about who the Commanders are today. I thought they were a little bit better than to have the wheels come off on a random week. But long term, I certainly didn't take away from 2 weeks that oh, this thing is a surefire bet to ascend, or week 3 was a surefire bet that they are frauds. I just think that they're trying to figure out who they are, and that was a really bad week that used to be one of many really bad weeks that Washington would have. I think Commanders fans just have to hope that that's one of fewer bad weeks, and that's the anomaly, not the norm for Washington.
So you're a good person to ask this question that we've been kind of chopping up all week, which is, what does this offense systematically and with Eric Bieniemy look like without Patrick Mahomes and with Sam Howell? What tweaks does he have to make? For those that don't know and haven't followed your career, you used to work in Kansas City. Now, you were in KC before EB was there, but you've always kept a closer eye on the Chiefs because of that. So when you think back pre-Mahomes, like what were the criticisms of Reid and to a lesser extent Bieniemy of the system, of why they couldn't break through with the Alex Smiths, et cetera? Like what happened there with that offense that was kind of the criticism of what needed to get fixed before Patrick Mahomes just eliminated any problem from ever happening with that offense?
So mostly Andy Reid has run an elite offense for a really long time. I mean, he took over the Eagles in the late 90s, and he ran one of the best offenses in football in Philadelphia for nearly 15 years with Donovan McNabb.
Right.
So there is a long history of Andy Reid doing it before Patrick Mahomes. But when he got to Kansas City, he had the concepts, he had the motion, he had the designs. He was limited in who was pulling the trigger because Alex Smith or Matt Castle are just not going to be able to do it. And I thought that also the old Andy Reid thing of it's great in the regular season, but when you need 3rd and 4 in the 4th quarter of a divisional round game in January, the offense kind of went kaput. There was a lot of gags in big Andy Reid games, NFC Championship games in Philadelphia, AFC divisional round games in Kansas City. I think that was the thing that reared its ugly head. They lost big leads like against Indianapolis. They couldn't get the offense going against Pittsburgh. They were stymied against New England. They kept running into teams in the playoffs that seemed to just be stronger and had a little bit better stability, maybe, or strength for the postseason games. And Andy Reid just didn't have the guys to be able to pull it off. And it felt like maybe finesse in the regular season would dissipate in the postseason, and it wouldn't work. And then Mahomes comes along, and Mahomes, like you kind of just alluded to, he erases any of the quarterback's not good enough to execute Andy Reid's vision, and he's so good that he can overcome maybe some flaws that the offense might have in some big spots. They trailed by 10 points, 4th quarter of a Super Bowl against San Francisco, and Patrick Mahomes goes nuts. He has been the eraser in many ways. So I think that for Bieniemy, when you don't have Mahomes, everything's not going to look nearly as genius. But, it can't be compared against the Chiefs because, as you said, even before Mahomes, the Chiefs were a great regular season offense, but didn't necessarily have the January success to know that this was ever going to mean that, that it could equate to a dynasty.
Yeah, I think the other thing that as you're answering that, I'm reminded of with Mahomes is how often he literally just bails them out. Because how many of the big games with him does he have big runs where they're not scripted, it's not the play call, it's not some schematic genius. He just goes, oh bleep, it's time to go on some key 3rd down and picks up a 1st down. Or, obviously last year in the AFC title game, he not only does it on the bad ankle, but gets hit late and sets up the game-winning field goal. So in the Super Bowls, he's had big runs in every single one of them. And it's not just the passing schematics, like the freedom that he has and a lot of stuff that is coaching. He just creates stuff out of nothing sometimes, and especially out of pressure, which has been Sam Howell's problem. It is a reminder of how much one excellent player at that position can change the fortunes of your team at key times during key games.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And let's not forget that the best the Chiefs offense has ever been, the best Andy Reid offense ever, had 2 other Hall of Famers that were catching passes. That's Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Now, they won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill last year, but very obviously it was harder to create those big plays without Tyreek. he's likely to be in Canton one day. Travis Kelce is a slam dunk to be in Canton one day. And before those two guys, the Chiefs didn't have Hall of Fame caliber targets either. So it all has to work in tandem. And Mahomes is wonderful. Tyreek was incredible. Kelce has been incredible. And then you add that all of that is the tools that Andy Reid has to work with, and it makes it the brilliance that it is.
All right, last thing for Damon Amendolara of SiriusXM, starting Monday, 6 to 9 a.m., the brand new version of the DA show on Mad Dog Radio. College football-wise, even though Colorado got smashed last week, they still come out of a weekend where their opponent, I feel like, looks a little bit silly. The Oregon coach going nuts in the locker room. They're in it for clicks, and the video then comes out afterwards, and they also put out a cinematic feature, and it's like, yeah, everyone's in it for clicks. That's college football in 2023. Welcome to the world. You just happen to have better players and smash them. I know Nick Saban was commenting on it as well. What have you made of this week in Colorado football?
Yeah, the Dan Lanning thing is interesting because very obviously he had that slogan ready to go for his team, and it worked, or he had better players, and that worked. But to the victor go the spoils, they were amazing last Saturday.
For sure.
For Oregon to be the one that is questioning flash versus substance is hysterical, considering it's a program that's been largely built on Nike money and crazy uniform combinations. And, when Nick Saban says that he understands why Dan Lanning said that, but maybe that's not ready for public consumption, that fans don't need to see it, I thought, are you crazy, Nick? I don't even think Saban can believe that, because I think Dan Lanning purposefully said that for the cameras to get out there. He's going to be in recruiting battles for talent on the West Coast with Deion. He knew this was a huge moment for his program because Deion brings so much attention, and he wants to sell in his own way to recruits. So he gets to say that about Deion, and when he wins, he looks good. But it's not like Dan Lanning said that, and then it got out, and on Sunday morning he's like, damn, I didn't want anybody to see that. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted that out there.
Yeah. Well, and then you go to commercial break, and it's Nick Saban and Deion in an Aflac commercial together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, who's criticizing what to do? Okay. All right, cool. Speaking of commercial breaks, that's all for us. We will talk to you next week. Best of luck with the start of the show on Monday. As your friend, I'm just beyond ecstatic for you. This is such a great fit for where you are in your career, your life, and everything. And I'm excited to see what you build at SiriusXM, man. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot, man. We've been close for a long time, so yeah, that means a lot, buddy. Thanks so much. I can't wait to start up on Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. The brand new DA show, SiriusXM, Mad Dog Radio, Channel 82, Monday, starting at 6 a.m. Friday. We are almost out of here on the Hoffman Show. Team 980, always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980 as well. Of course, Monday will be a loaded show as always. We'll take a look back at the Commanders game starting right on schedule at 4 o'clock. As soon as I can get Chris Russell to stop cockadoodle doing and get out of the studio. Get out of here, Chris. We got a 1st and 10 to do, so do not be late. 4 o'clock Monday's show. Of course, 5 o'clock we'll talk to Michael Phillips. I think I'm doing double duty with him. I'm going to go on his show on Monday as well. So MP on the mic. Check it out on the free Odyssey app from 910 The Fan in Richmond. That is from 10 a.m. to noon, and I'll pop in at some point. And then Phillips with us at 5, Pick 6 at 6. Anthony, we were just talking in the break. I thought our Pick 6 today is one of the best segments we've done in a long time.
Hey, you get better, time and time again. That was
just getting our reps in.
Was that our 4th one? No. We did
the 4th
preseason.
one. It's the season. Well, I think there was one day that we didn't even get to do it because Maryland played on a Friday, so we didn't even get to do it. So this is only our 3rd one.
Our 3rd
We're trying to get reps in, trying to get some chemistry.
Yes, sir.
We didn't do that. It's a new play. We didn't run this last year.
Nope.
Sound familiar? So we crushed that, and so we'll take the 6 players that we picked at 6 o'clock. And if you missed it, I would highly suggest rewinding in the free Odyssey app or checking it out. I'm actually exporting the video right now to throw up on YouTube at Craig Hoffman. So check it out wherever you can, and then we'll take a look back at those players and how they did, how they impacted the game at 6 o'clock on Monday. Of course, between now and then, I got more talking into microphones to do. The Take Command pregame show is live from Tap Sports Bar at MGM National Harbor, Sunday at 10 a.m. I'll be there with Logan. You can come and hang out with us in person starting at 11. The streams are live at 10 o'clock, simulcast on both here and 106.7 The Fan and both YouTube pages. And then on YouTube following the show, or following the game, about 90 minutes after the final whistle, Logan and I will have our post-game reaction. And then last but not least, Anthony, very important housekeeping note, because before we resume that 1st and 10, hey, better be on time on Monday, we actually have another show. Not on the radio.
Yep.
But online only. Digital exclusive, live stream, Wizards Media Day. We are talking to Denny Advia, Wes Unseld Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Corey Kispert, Tyus Jones, between noon and 2 on Monday. It is live exclusively on YouTube, 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980's pages, so subscribe. Obviously, we're partial here to the Team 980's page. Subscribe, watch. It's going to be a good time talking to all those guys. It's such a good group that they've got. They're all really good interviews. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to talking to all of them for very different reasons. Corey Kispert was perhaps my favorite interview last year at Media Day. We didn't get to talk to Kuz on the show last year. Clearly, we're going to start with that and just be like, why didn't you come on the show last year? And we're going to puff out our chest and act real big. No, we're not. I'm going to ask Kyle important basketball questions. What it's like to become the leader in the face of the franchise in a lot of ways. Excited to talk to Wes. He's always great, super insightful. Tyus, I'm excited to get to talk to him. I think he could be really important for them this year. So pumped for that. And this one will not stream live, but this is why you subscribe to the podcast feed and you subscribe to YouTube. We're going to get about a half hour with Will Dawkins. So that one is a special. When we release it, we release it. So if you want to be the first to listen or watch, subscribe to our on-demand platforms because the podcast with Will Dawkins is coming as well. Bits and pieces of all those interviews will eventually find their way to the radio closer to the season. But if you want to consume all of that, Wizards fans, or if you want to get into the Wizards this year because, they're actually going to be really fun to watch, start with us online on Monday at noon. Anything else from the housekeeping department, Anthony? I said a lot of stuff there.
Of course. We have to make our pick.
Oh.
Yes.
How did I almost forget that?
I wasn't going to forget.
All right. Eagles Commanders, Sunday, 1 o'clock, Fox. Joe Davis on the call with Daryl Johnston and Pam Oliver. Baldy's got a national radio call going. What you got? Who you got? I already made a pick, actually, on this today because Kevin asked me on his show. I had to come up with one real quick.
So I'm taking the Commanders to cover. I'm taking the Eagles to win.
What's the line at this point? Actually, I
8.5.
checked today. 8.5. Yeah, I'm going to take them to cover as well. I'm going Commanders. This is what I said on Kevin's show, and I'm not going to change it because I think I still feel this way, which is good.
You're
because
right, Craig. Please be right.
It's
please.
like 4 hours later. I'm going Commanders 20. Sorry, I mean, the Commanders are not winning the game. They're covering. I was like, what are you begging me for? Eagles, you almost had me say the wrong score. That would have been bad. Eagles 24, Commanders 21 is what I picked on Kevin's show and what I'm sticking with. So a bounce-back game, competitive, but ultimately not enough. 24-21, that'd be your final score. Philadelphia on top. Commanders would fall to 2-2. But then, let's run the hurry up. Bears Thursday night. Like, we got, by the time, Anthony,
Oh, but you got to do this pick. Oh, I'm going Commanders to win that one.
Well, no, we don't have to do that now.
Oh, okay.
Like, we'll pick it next week, but I'm just saying, like, by the time we are here next Friday.
Oh, yeah. We'll be
like,
talking.
we'll have 2 games that have, like, think of how different things could be.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. So, I got the Eagles. Anthony's got the Eagles.
But we're rooting for the Commanders.
Yeah. This is the one pick a week where I hope I'm wrong. All right. Time for real things.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5-11, not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
All right. I have been told by a little bird, which I guess I just called Anthony Haney a little bird, that there is a new competition or new competitor for the weirdest laugh in sports. If you need a reminder, the incumbent, undefeated, reigning champion is Kawhi Leonard.
For
Anthony?
me to tell you about myself, I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
So that's Kawhi's laugh, which we all discovered a couple years ago, and we're like, whoa! Anthony, introduce us to the challenger.
So, Jaden Hardy. He was drafted by the Sacramento Kings in the second round of the 2022 drafts. He now currently plays for the Dallas Mavericks, and they had their media day, and somehow, he ended up laughing.
Man, I don't know.
Yes, one more time for you, Craig.
Man, I don't know.
I love that.
I don't know.
That's such a great laugh.
Oh,
it's
no.
It's weird as hell, but it is like, I love people that when they laugh, it makes you laugh. And Jaden Hardy, Kawhi, you're just like, huh?
Yeah, you're confused. His is actually...
One more time. Yeah. Like if one of your buddies laughed like that, your laugh is, by the way, very much in this category.
No, people do laugh at me for my laugh. Like, they're like, whoa, bro. Like,
yeah, like if Jaden Hardy and I were best friends, I would just try to make jokes all the time to make him laugh.
yeah.
You got that quality too, which is a good quality. People like being around people who smile and laugh a lot.
His is very unique, though. Very
Yeah.
unique. So whose laugh are you taking? Are you taking his or are you taking Kawhi?
For weirder,
Yeah, for weirder.
Kawhi.
Okay, just making sure.
Good
As long-
challenge.
yeah. The effort was there.
Kawhi's still a champ.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you Monday. I'll see you Sunday, actually, on the Team 980.
Burgundy at